And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China!
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China! All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China!
Russian.
Russia!
Italian.
Italy!
German.
Germany!
Swedish.
Sweden!
Korean.
Korea!
Egyptian.
Egypt!
Nigerian.
Nigeria!
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing. Yes.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
I'm so glad you're here because you can bring great clarity. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sephardic Jews and how they were scattered because they went west?
I sure can.
Because the reason why I want to is because a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know this, are in the Caribbean.
They are.
In the islands.
And you're one of them. I know that.
I'm one of them.
I know that.
Because, you know, a lot of folk don't know that those roots are there. One of the first batches of slaves that came to Jamaica, they were the Sephardic Jews. It's documented.
And they're all over the Caribbean, South America, Central America, and even the South Central United States.
Wow.
And DNA testing is a factor in all this now.
There's only one true ethnic Jew, the Mizrahi Jew, because they are Africans, and if you read the original Bible written in Phoenician Hebrew, they're not. Jewish people are not Europeans. The modern Jews in Israel are Russians or Khazars to be precise, from Russia. I learned it from my grandfather that because he was an Ashkenazi Jew.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
The white man is enacting a story all over the world. We left our homes and flooded the world. We smothered culture. We smothered knowledge. We erased history and rewrote it our way. Myself, my grandfather is 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. Claiming to be Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish is just a conspiracy. White men claiming to be of tribes of Israel when I'm Germanic. You know, I have no ties to Israel, no ties to Judaism. You know, except loosely written history that's been whitewashed over for centuries. And, you know,
from the Renaissance.
Oh yeah, right. You wipe everything clean. It's funny how exactly the Renaissance. It's this rebirth, but it's white rebirth. I think at the same exact time the Renaissance is happening, Columbus is sailing to America and committing genocide.
Anti-Semitic statements are never good for anybody, right? It's kind of like being anti-black.
But, you know, it's really interesting. I didn't realize that I could be considered anti-Semitic till I read one of the definitions of anti-Semitism. Look at this. The definition says, making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as a collective, such as, especially, but not exclusively. This sounds like a, let them go by. All right, so it says, think about it, that sounds like the type of wording that's in the contracts, right?
Indeed.
Such as, especially, but not exclusively, the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions.
But isn't that what you said? That Jews run everything?
Yeah, but that actually is considered to be anti-Semitic.
Right.
So I didn't realize that it was anti-Semitic to say, hey, you know, I have a Jewish attorney, I have a Jewish record label, I have a Jewish contractor, I have a
Do you regret your statements?
Are the statements you think you should be walking back? I mean, considering...
What do you mean walking back?
Well, you know, backing up off of them. I mean, the thing is, you've lost a lot of endorsements. People are dropping you. You're getting, you know, vilified. You know, I mean, you might think you're right, but I think, you know, there's a whole world out there that's condemning you for what you said.
Okay, so this right here is a chart of Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, ABC News, CBS, CBS News, Columbia Pictures, Warner Brothers, ESPN Sports, Fox News, Washington Post, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, MTV Music Television, Nickelodeon, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Comedy Central, NBC Entertainment, Google, what else do we have? Disney, ABC Kids and Family, YouTube, Los Angeles Times, Discovery Network, Paramount Pictures, Facebook, Huffington Post, Yahoo, Marvel, Hulu, Cosmopolitan, Time, Touchstone, Associated Press, Pixar, Miramax, HBO, New York Post, LucasArts, MSNBC, DreamWorks Animation. Now the thing is, I skipped over maybe about 5 of them because it was just unclear on this list. The red are the executives that are Jewish at these companies.
Do you think they stuck together when they heard what you said? Was that what happened?
Am I to take it that this was what you shared was not something that you've even watched? This was you did watch it, or either watch it or read it.
I had a lot of time to read a lot, read a whole bunch, good and bad, about the truth of our world.
So then, do you, I guess, understand or not understand those that might imply that that work had anti-Semitic leanings in it? I only ask this because the tweet is still up there, so
We're in 2022. It's on Amazon, a public platform. Whether you want to go watch it or not is up to you. There's things being posted every day. I'm no different than the next human being, so don't treat me any different. You guys come in here and make up this powerful influence I have over top of the adultery of, oh, you cannot post that. Why not? Why not? I don't hear uproar in that. I'm not here to be divisive on what's going on this or that. I'm not comparing Jews to blacks. I'm not comparing white to black. I'm not doing that. That conversation is dismissive, and it constantly revolves around the rhetoric of who are the chosen people of God. And I'm not here to argue over a person or a culture or religion or what they believe. No, this is what is here. It's on a public platform. Did I do anything illegal? Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Did I do anything illegal? Did I hurt anybody? Did I harm anybody? Am I going out and saying that I hate one specific group of people? So out of all the judgment that people got from me posting, I just, without talking to me, and then I respect what Joe said, but there has a lot to do with the not ego or pride of how proud I am to be an African heritage, but also to be living as a free black man here in America, knowing the historical complexities for me to get here. So I'm not going to stand down on anything that I believe in. I'm only going to get stronger because I'm not alone. I have a whole army around me.
Kyrie, while we're on the topic of promotion, why did you decide to promote something that Alex Jones said?
That was a few weeks ago. I do not stand with Alex Jones' position, narrative, court case that he had with Sandy Hook, or any of the kids that felt like they had to relive trauma, or parents that had to relive trauma, or to be dismissive to all the lives that were lost during that tragic event. My post was a post from Alex Jones that he did in the early 90s or late 90s about secret societies in America of occults, and it's true. So I wasn't identifying with anything of being a campaignist for Alex Jones or anything. I'm just there to post, and it's funny, and it's actually hilarious because out of all the things I posted that day, that was the one post that everyone chose to see. It just goes back to the way our world is and works. I'm not here to complain about it. I just exist.
And to follow up on the promotion of the movie and the book.
Can you please stop calling it a promotion? What am I promoting?
Put it out on your platform.
But I'm promoting it? Do you see me in front of the title?
By putting it out there, people are going to say that you are
promoting. Yeah, put it out there just like you put things out there, right?
Yeah, but it's not.
You put things out there for a living, right?
Right, but my stuff is not.
So let's move on.
Filled
let's
with
move on.
Anti-Semitic.
Let's
stuff.
move on. Don't dehumanize me up here.
I'm not doing that.
Another
You're
human
free
being.
to post.
I can post whatever I want. So say that and shut it down and move on to the next question.
But Kyrie, you have to understand that by
I don't have to understand anything from you.
It's not me.
Nothing.
By
It's no people that you're making up, bro. Move on.
But by posting
move
what
on.
you
Next
did,
question.
Anybody
Do you guys have any more questions for me?
and they're going to say,
you guys have any more questions? Because this is going to be a clip. This is going to be a clip that he's going to marvel at. Is this any more questions?
But you're not answering the question.
Oh, this is another answering your question. Oh my God, let's make another Instagram clip so we could be famous again.
Your name is Toby. I want to hear you say it. Your name is Toby. You're going to learn to say your name. Let me hear you say it. What's your name?
Kunta Kinte. Kunta Kinte.
Again! I want to hear you say your name. Your name is Toby. What's your name?
Kunta.
With a week of hindsight, are you sorry for the hurt that your posts caused people?
I take my responsibility for posting that. Some things that were questionable in there, untrue. Like I said, and the first time you guys asked me when I was sitting on that stage, I don't believe everything that everybody posts. It's a documentary, so I take my responsibility.
It seems like Adam Silver wanted to hear the word "I apologize," or in your mind, you said, "I didn't mean to cause any harm." Were you apologizing, or did you not apologize?
I didn't mean to cause any harm. I'm not the one that made the documentary.
What are the specific things in the documentary that you don't believe are true and that you don't believe represent your morals?
I think some of the criticism of the Jewish faith in the community, for sure. Some points made in there that were unfortunate.
Kyrie, are you surprised that you did hurt people?
Surprised that I did hurt people?
Are you surprised that reaction and some of the things that you did hurt people?
Yeah, I think I can ask a better question. It's just, where were you when I was a kid, figuring out that 300 million of my ancestors are buried in America? Where were you guys asking those same questions when I was a kid learning about the traumatic events of my familial history and what I'm proud to come from and why I'm proud to stand here and why when I repeat myself that I'm not going to stand down, it has nothing to do with dismissing any other race or group of people. I'm just proud of my heritage and what we've been through. And the fact that this has pinned me against the Jewish community. And I'm here answering questions of whether or not I'm sorry or not on something I didn't create. And it was something I shared. And I'm telling everybody I'm taking responsibility. Then that's where I sit. So, these same questions that you guys ask, me dealing with it as being a melanated, pigmented person all around the world and dealing with racial biases against my skin color, demeaning me because of my religious beliefs, and I'm still sitting in the seat standing. I take my full responsibility. Again, I'll repeat it, for posting something on my Instagram or Twitter that may have had some unfortunate falsehoods in it. but I also am a human being that's 30 years old, and I've been growing up in a country that's told me that I wasn't worth anything, and I came from a slave class, and I come from a people that are meant to be treated the way we get treated every day. So I'm not here to compare anyone's atrocities or tragic events that their families have dealt with generations of time. I'm just here to continue to expose things that our world continues to put in darkness. I'm a light. I'm a beacon of light. That's what I'm here to do. You guys ask me questions about basketball, I give you my expert opinion. You guys ask me about other things, I give you my opinion, and it's met with whatever you believe the perception or the deception is. You guys investigate my life every day, and you justify it by serving your own purpose, which I honor. I would like the same respect in return. It's unfortunate timing that we're in, but I'm glad that I could stand on the truth, because I'm not afraid of these mics, these cameras. I used to be, looking everyone in the eye and telling them the truth, and I'm proud of who I am. Any label that you put on me, I'm able to dismiss because I study. I know the Oxford Dictionary, you look it up, right? Just one of the biggest mistakes I had in being a kid was not knowing European or Western language until I started looking it up and understanding the definitions and why they say, if you want to trick a black person, put it in a book. I was wondering my whole life why they said that. Now I'm 30 years old and I know reading is a superpower because it helps me understand where I'm going and where I come from. Like a tree with roots.
Kyrie, the documentary listed among falsehoods, it said the Holocaust didn't happen. Do you believe the Holocaust
those falsehoods
happened?
are unfortunate. And it's not that I don't believe in the Holocaust. I never said that. Never, ever have said it. It's not come out of my mouth. I never tweeted it. I never liked anything like it. So the Holocaust in itself is an event that means something to a large group of people that suffered something that could have been avoided. No one said we had to practice racism. No one said we had to treat each other like garbage.
Kyrie, for the record, do you have any anti-Semitic beliefs?
Again, I'm gonna repeat. I don't know how the label becomes justified because you guys ask me the same questions over and over again. But this is not gonna turn into a spin around cycle of questions upon questions. I told you guys how I felt. I respect all walks of life and embrace all walks of life. That's where I sit.
I think what people want to hear, though, is just a yes or no on that question. Yes or no.
I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from. I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from. I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from.
Why is the material in this book and film so deeply offensive?
Absolutely. So just here in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles City Council passed 2 days ago the definition of anti-Semitism according to the IHRA, which is the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. And in that definition, it says that a perception of hatred to the Jewish community is the definition of anti-Semitism. Now, somebody asked, Charles Barkley asked me 2 days ago, have I read or seen that movie? And so when he asked, I looked it up and I started seeing what those anti-Semitic tropes were. Number one, there's untruths there. And when untruths are then seen as truths to the next person, that leads to very dangerous consequences.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Want to say peace and blessings to everyone. I want to start off by apologizing. I was trying to put these clips together. This is a last minute live. This is not a scheduled live. And I just wanted to briefly discuss the situation with Kyrie Irving. You guys know what I've been teaching on that. But before I go on, let's make sure that my mic is good. If my mic sounds good, like back in the day, I believe it was Salt and Pepper. My mic sounds nice. Check one. Mic sounds nice. Check two. If my microphone sounds all right, type one. If it sounds distorted or muffled, or like the last time we had this live, it sounded really sluggish and all. So All right, great, great. Now, the reason why I extended the intro here for some, it was for some of you guys that may not be up to speed with what actually transpired with the Kyrie Irving situation, and which is very troubling from a perspective of the last Saturday. I was about to say Shabbat. We honor the Shabbat, but Saturday night is not the Shabbat. That's going into the first day of the week. But anyway, I shared the source article, and we'll cover some of just a little bit of that again. For those that did not listen to the live that I did this past Saturday, what I did was I went to some of the talking points, the things that are being highlighted inside that article that the writer did not, was very, how can I put it, was not honest in his writing. Wasn't good journalism because he did not list sources. He did not show the sources that Ron Dalton in his book highlighted. And so there's a lot of stuff that's going on right now. And we'll even replay what the rabbi stated. Because one thing you notice when questions are asked and you ask, can you tell me, or, when they're commenting about the movie / book, you don't actually hear actual statements saying this is what it says at this point here, right? And then you could go back and validate it to see if it's truth, right? And I am going to research the Holocaust portion of it because I didn't take a look at that. I have time to take a look at that, but I did pull up sources, right? One thing that's not highlighted in Ron's book, Ron Dalton's book, is that he lists sources. So the question is, if you show a source from the Jewish community, like the Talmud, the Mishnah, those are considered other rabbinical literature. If you show sources out of those books, out of those, what I want to say, writings, so to speak. So the origins of it, the person that wrote that, the people that wrote it, they're not anti, but the people that reference it is anti. See, that's what's happening, family. Right now, the source is not anti, but the person that may use that source is anti. If you guys agree with what I just said, type 1, because that's what seemed to be the playbook right now. Because when you listen to what Kyrie Irving said, if you really listen to what he says he's accountable. He's holding himself accountable for posting the movie, the link on his Twitter page. But he said he's not apologizing for the movie itself. Whether you agree with the movie or not, right? If I was in his position, I would be insulted as well, because it's almost like they are trying to make him apologize for something that's not his source, a work that he did not do. Now, come on, family. As the rabbi pointed out, anything that can be perception, give a bad perception to the Jewish community can be considered anti, according to the Holocaust Council that he pointed out. Now, we could go right down the list, starting with the movies that was done about our people, about our heartaches, about the slave trade world, which was the actual world war. How many of you guys got insulted, didn't want to even go watch the movie? For example, what's that? Harriet Tubman. When I saw the write-up and I saw what it was about, man, I couldn't watch it because it's like, wait a minute, this is completely incorrect. How many movies have been made about our people, about if we want to use the term Holocaust, because when you look at the transatlantic world war, how many how many times, how many movies have you seen that was completely inaccurate, that completely took, was way out in left field, but they're up on YouTube. I mean, not YouTube, they're up on Amazon, they're up on Netflix. You don't see people being questioned like that. You don't see someone that may have posted it, or a star or entertainer that posted that movie, being held accountable for the movie. We could go list by list, just about every movie that represents us, that talks about our atrocities, have been fabricated, has been fabricated. And so, and I apologize for the Roots clip. I was trying to, I was putting all my clips together, and the Roots clip, I forgot to clean it up, and that's why it didn't look the way that I wanted it to look. But what you see inside that clip is what what it appears or seems as if the media, right, those reporters and all those that are involved here, is trying to get Kyrie Irving to apologize for a body of work that he did not do, even when he made it clear that he don't support, for example, the Holocaust. And I didn't see it in the book. I'm gonna look it up to make sure that I'm clear with it. I'm trying to get clarity, because he made a lot of reference to the Holocaust, but I didn't see anything with him saying that the Holocaust was fake for us. And we made, if I could share my screen with that, I'll bring his book up, because I had the Kindle version of it, and we could see if there's anything inside his book that makes a reference of saying that the Holocaust wasn't real. We could do that. But family, we have to take a stand. We have to take a stand, family. And what's unfortunate, before I go there, right? I didn't have a chance. I was trying to get, and we'll do it this Saturday night. We'll do a part 2. Hopefully the book comes in that I ordered. And we're going to continue to go through that article and go through some Ron Dalton's book to see what's in there. We're going to look up what he says about the Holocaust to make sure to see if it's accurate of what was pointed out to Kyrie inside that interview. So what we all should be doing is saying, forget it. You know what? We're going to boycott the NBA. We're going to boycott, and unfortunate, we should have been supporting Kaepernick. The NBA, the NFL gave him a settlement. We should have been boycotting the NFL. Can we boycott the NBA? We should be boycotting Adidas. None of you guys should be wearing Adidas. You should have pulled your money out of JP Morgan, Chase Morgan, and Wells Fargo, some of those very banks that cancel, for example, JP Morgan's Chase canceled Kanye, told him to take your $150 million out of his bank. And I'm pretty confident that he has criminals, people that have committed crimes, accounts that are in there. But take his money out of their bank. When actually, when you look up their bank and do the history of their bank, they had used slaves as collateral. They owned slaves. They were giving loans out on slaves. They was doing, on record, it says over 13,000, but we know it was more. Adidas. Two brothers, Nazis, founded that brand. See, family, anything but the Negro. Let me say that again, family. Anything but the Negro. Let me say it one more time. Anything but the Negro. Family, I love my Adidas. I love my shell toes. I still wear my shell toes. I used to wear them, rather. I don't wear them anymore. I will not wear my shell toes. I will not wear any Adidas brand, any of the brands that are doing what it is doing right now. And I love my basketball. Guess what? I am not watching NBA anymore. I'm leaving the NBA alone. I used to watch football, but when the Kaepernick thing happened, I used to be a diehard Cowboys fan. But when the Kaepernick situation happened, I haven't watched a football game since. It's been what, about 3 or 4, actually 4 seasons since I watched a football game. Come on, family, can you turn over your plate? See, if this was the 50s, if this was the 60s, guess what? They would be boycotting stuff. Some may laugh at, hey, they marching. Well, guess what? They were boycotting. At least they were doing something to take a stand. What are we doing right now? I'm so disappointed in hearing Shaq. Oh, Kyrie Irving, he's an idiot. He disgraced the game. He's an idiot. He disgraced the game. He's an idiot. Charles Barkley, straight terrible, just straight terrible. He just straight terrible. He just an idiot. If I was the Nets, if I was the owner of the Nets, I'll cancel Kyrie. I would cancel. It's just straight terrible, just straight terrible. Calling a man an idiot. What about, and I'm going to post a video. What about Michael Rappaport, the actor, calling Kanye dumb, stupid, all kinds. Mocked him because of his medical condition, laughing and mocking. Can you imagine if one of us did that? Kyrie just posted a link to a movie. And look at what's happening. Can you imagine if someone did that to Michael Rappaport with all the craziness he was saying, going at Kanye West? I understand if you want to be offended about what he said, we're all entitled to be offended one way or another to whatever someone says. Because I didn't like the thing what Kanye West said about George Floyd. I didn't like the thing that Kanye West said about, the slavery. But man, to go and do exactly what he did, come on, family. See, we have a lot of these here. Let me play it here. You guys know I love my clips, but this is what Shaq is. And I'm from Jersey. I'm from the Brick City. I'm from Newark, New Jersey. That is my stomping grounds, Newark, New Jersey. And when I heard Shaq say what he said, oh, Kyrie Irving, he's just a straight idiot. He's an idiot. He's insulting the game. He's an idiot. And the first thing that came to my mind when Shaq said what he said, and also when Charles Barkley, again, when he jumped in there, straight terrible, just straight terrible. He is an idiot. He's just straight terrible. The NBA needs to cancel Kyrie Irving. He's just a straight terrible. He's just a straight idiot. What came to my mind, this is what came to my mind. This is exactly what came to my mind.
This is Hoppin' Bob. You run afoul of Bob, you run afoul of me. You run afoul of Bob, you run afoul of me. I'm tired, boss.
He said it's too hot, boss. He's tired.
Too hot? He tired? Uh-huh. You tell that lazy jigaboo in the state of Mississippi I ain't interested in his meteorological assessment.
Listen up, jigaboo. State of Mississippi ain't interested in your meteorological assessments.
You tell him the state of Mississippi is only interested in getting this here ditch cleared by sundown.
State of Mississippi wants this here ditch cleared by sundown. You got that, boy.
Got it. Boss. He don't sound like he from around here.
He from New York City, boss. He from New York City, boss. He from New York City, boss.
See, that's Hoppin' Bob, family. That is Hoppin' Bob. Y'all know Hoppin' Bob from life. That's Hoppin' Bob. I'm not going to use the term coon because I don't approve of anyone using that word, because when you understand the word coon, baraka, the very things, or should I say the place that they held our ancestors in, those holding places, they would have us cramped up in there. You'll see that at the point of no return, the castle, not castle, is it Elmira? I believe Elmina, that's the name of it. Elmina, the point of no return. You'll see that down in Savannah, Georgia. You'll see all through Charleston, South Carolina. You'll see these dungeons that they held our ancestors in like animals. So I don't use that word cone, right? Because that's still insulting our ancestors. But what I do use is Hoppin' Bob. I don't even use the word Uncle Tom, because Uncle Tom, if you understand Tom, especially from a Hebraic perspective, Tom, right? The ancient is Thom. It's a positive name. It's a very positive name, right? Malcolm X gave a story about the field Negro and the house Negro, right? He didn't quote Uncle Tom's far as the book correctly, but I don't use those things. Uncle Tom, if you want to be real with it, Uncle Tom, read the book. He was very honorable, totally the opposite of what we think he was. And when you read about Uncle Tom, right, the house Negro, the field Negro, like Malcolm X makes reference to, that's Jacob and Esau. Jacob was described as being a plain person. In other words, the Hebrew word you'll see there is Tom or Thom, right? I'm saying Thom from the ancient Tom, Israeli, right? So it's a positive word. It's a positive word. And see, when Kyrie Irving said that he goes to, he make it a point to go to the source of words. He mentioned the Oxford. He mentioned the Oxford family when they was talking about anti-Semitism. In the initial interview, he said he goes to the root of words. Family, he gave some nuggets of how he go and process things. But right now, have you seen one time they said, let's see what the meaning of Semitic, let's see the meaning of Semite. Let's go to the dictionary. Let's pull it up on here. Let's get the source up here. Let's see, we could talk about anti-Semitism, but you still have to go to the root words, anti, and then you have to go to Semitism. From Semitism to Semitic, from Semitic to Semite, from Semite actually Shemite. But you have yet to see anyone put a source on the screen and say, let's define what Semitic is. Let's define what Semitism is. You have yet to hear any one of these guys do that. One thing I'll give Jay Williams from ESPN, I'll give him credit, because out of all of them, he's the only one I heard that said he actually read the book. He's the only one that said he read the book, right? And he said there was some interesting things in there. He didn't agree with, the usage of devil and all that, but he, matter of fact, I'll put his, you guys see the video that I uploaded. So you don't see sources being placed on the screen. You don't see any sources. If you've seen, type 1 if you saw any sources being displayed, right? If you see these writers and these people coming at Kanye West, coming at what's his name, Kyrie Irving, if you've seen them quoting sources, type 1. If you haven't, type 2. All right. So far, you guys are in agreement with me. I haven't seen any sources. So I'm going to play with the rabbi. I'm going to play the clip about from the rabbi one more time. Right. And then we'll highlight a couple of things here. But let me play this clip one more time with what the rabbi said. And you guys heard Kyrie's argument. He made it clear that he's remorseful for making a poor post. Right. He holds himself accountable for that. He even contributed $500,000 to the ADL and the New Jersey Nets on Brooklyn Nets. They matched it with $500,000. So they contributed $1 million to the ADL. But the issue is they want him to say, hey, I apologize. And he don't want to be forced to take credit for a movie that he saw on Amazon. He don't want to be held accountable and his face attached to that, because that's not his work. That's Ron Dalton's work. But let's play this clip again.
Why is the material in this book and film so deeply offensive?
Absolutely. So just here in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles City Council passed 2 days ago the definition of anti-Semitism according to the IHRA, which is the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. And in that definition, it says that a perception of hatred to the Jewish community is the definition of anti-Semitism. Now, somebody asked, Charles Barkley asked me 2 days ago, have I read it or seen that movie? And so when he asked, I looked it up and I started seeing what those anti-Semitic tropes were. Number one, there's untruths there. And when untruths are then seen as truths to the next person, that leads to very dangerous consequences.
All right. So he said he saw some untruths, used the word tropes. Right. Let me play it one more time. Let's see if he given some actual things that he read or saw in the movie. And this family, this is the thing that we're not holding. And I'm not just saying this rabbi. I'm saying anyone that makes reference to not just this book, but if it was another type of book or movie. OK, have you seen the movie? OK, what part of the movie that you disagree with? I'm just saying, I'm using movie in general, like back in the day when we used to talk about movies in school and all that. What part of the movie? You say you saw the movie? Okay, what part? Tell me about this part. We don't hear that today. Tell me about the part of the book that got you this way. Let me hear about this part. All right. Be specific on exactly what you read or what you heard. Be specific, and let's see if you're accurate with what you're saying. But at least you're quoting things from and giving up something, a point of reference that you can go to. Because back in the day, man, it was everything, man. You know, we used to do all kinds of stuff to lie about movies that we saw. See, I had a nice way. Me and my brothers had a routine. You know, you guys call it ear hustle. We had a great ear hustle way of doing things. You know, if I didn't see it, we didn't have cable. I ain't gonna even say if I didn't see. We didn't have cable. We had that black and white television that sat on top of that color television that was broke, right? We had the butter knife or the set of pliers to turn the television. You know, you had to bang it on the side. We had the aluminum foil tips on the hanger that was attached in it. That's why I have the logo here, as you see on the screen, the television with the hanger right there. That's just a reminder of where I come from. Right. So what we used to do, we knew that there's certain movies that people would want to watch. So what we would do when I get to homeroom, I let everyone talk about the movie. They're talking about the movie. Oh, yeah, this part. Did you see 5 Deadly Venoms? You know, this part, that part, this part, that part. I'm like, okay, I'm just listening. I'm not saying anything. Right. Then we get to the next class. Same thing. They talking about the movie. So now they're giving some key things. I'm making a mental note of it. Then we get to a third class. Same thing. So by the time we get to lunch, now I'm talking about the movie like I saw the movie. If the movie was in my face, I couldn't tell you what it was. But I'm operating in what is called the spirit of canary. That's also the spirit of charms. Now I'm just echoing what I hear someone else echo. And that's what we see happening right now. People are echoing something that they haven't even watched themselves. I'm pretty confident that Charles Barkley did not watch the movie. I'm pretty confident that Shaq did not watch the movie. I'm pretty confident that Amari Stoudemire, which is a major disappointment to me, because just from a perspective of Amari Stoudemire is a coach on the New Jersey Nets. A coach on New Jersey Nets before the suspension came down. He's public. He's in the live talking about Kyrie. Come on now. What kind of business etiquette is that? Oh, Kyrie Irving, he calls it on himself. Come on, man. Come on, man. Forget the NBA. Forget the NFL. Forget Adidas. Forget all these different businesses. Forget Chase. That's right. Kyrie Irving is from Jersey. Jason Williams is from Jersey. At least Jason Williams watched the movie. Whether you agree with his assessment or not, at least he watched the movie. At least he watched the movie. I'm going to play what the rabbi said one more time. Play it one more time.
Why is the material in this book and film so deeply offensive?
Absolutely. So just here in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles City Council passed 2 days ago the definition of anti-Semitism according to the IHRA, which is the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. And in that definition, it says that a perception of hatred to the Jewish community is the definition of anti-Semitism. Now, somebody asked, Charles Barkley asked me 2 days ago, have I read it or seen that movie? And so when he asked, I looked it up and I started seeing what those anti-Semitic tropes were. Number one, there's untruths there. And when untruths are then seen as truths to the next person, that leads to very dangerous consequences.
So the perception. So the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. Perception. So perception can be very subjective, excuse me. If I perceive. So anti-Semitism, as Kanye West pointed out, he did not know that he would be considered an anti-Semitic person because he, according to the definition he read, said if you even state that stereotypes such as saying that the Jews run everything. When he gave reference, like, hey, he didn't know by saying he got his lawyers Jewish, his doctor Jewish, his record label is Jewish. But you know what's sad, family? This is, I got ready to upload this clip right here. Let me share this clip, and we'll touch on a few things, and then we'll save the bulk of this for this Saturday night. But let me let you hear something here, right? I'm not sure if you guys heard this, but this is one of the videos that I was going to upload. But while I was in the process of getting ready to upload it, I was watching ESPN, and that's when I saw the Kyrie Irving interview. But let me allow you to hear this here. Let me do some here. I'm pulling it up here. All right, now I want you guys to pay attention to this here. This is a leaked video of Kanye West, right? He was on the Drink Champions or Drink Champs or whatever the name of the show is. He was on there. This is a leaked video that's not in the video that was circulating that they removed. Now listen to and watch this. Here we go.
Yeah! He loves Jews, bro. Yo, it's one thing to love, it's another thing to respect. It's one thing to love, it's another thing to respect. It's one thing to love, it's another thing to respect. My favorite Jewish homeboy! Your favorite Jewish homeboy is here? Yes, it is. Steve, bring him in. Yeah. Give him a 5 and you gotta move up. Yeah. Come on. No, this is good. This is good right here. Steve Ripken. Yeah, I love Steve, man. Steve is the go, bro. We love Steve. Steve, I'm going back. All right. Nah, Steve, you gotta sit down, bro. I got a flight to catch. I just got the car. All right. Yo, we gotta put it together. Yo, you gotta show us how to put this label together. You gotta get us all the Jewish information, all the Jewish stuff. Yeah! He loves Jews, bro. Yo, it's one thing to love, it's another thing to respect. It's one thing to love, it's another thing to respect.
Well, I love you and I respect you.
Yeah.
Listen, Genesis chapter.
All right, now, have you guys seen that portion of the video? You see the producer, who is a Jewish guy, come up and hug Kanye and say, the Jews, we love you, Kanye. The Jews, we respect you. He said, I respect you, Kanye. And what did Kanye do? Kanye acknowledged that this is one of his good friends. Came up and they hugged each other and everything, embraced each other. And I'll upload the video because I know it's kind of choppy here because of the way that I'm streaming it. But that's what you don't see. You didn't see that video clip. You didn't see that portion of the interview or the episode. See, where is he? Defending, saying, no, Kanye, he misquoted, or he didn't, when you listen to it, I know it could be all over the place, whatever. He didn't say, well, I disagree. Well, hey, I'm still, Kanye, I still love you. You don't see any of that. But family, what I believe what we're witnessing right now, I believe we're seeing the time of the two witnesses, right? And what I teach the two witnesses, I'm not saying Kyrie Irving and Kanye West are the two witnesses. I'm saying the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom are the two witnesses. And it tells you how the two witnesses going to speak with authority, speak with power, shut things down. And then what's going to happen? You'll see the blood in the streets. They'll be murdered. They'll be slaughtered in the streets. What's happening to us, our community? You see blood all in the streets. What's happening to our community? You see that any one of us that even make the slightest comment about being Israelites, what happened? Right? Stoudemire, right? He goes by, he's Jewish, considered to be a Black Jew. And that's because he went through conversion, right? He converted over to Judaism. But why should we have to convert over to something that's already ours? Many of you guys did the DNA, and I shared this before, and I could share some of my DNA, and I'll show you some of the tribes. Matter of fact, I'll show that before we wrap up. I'll show some of my DNA. Dante did a great job showing his DNA records. I could just show you a couple of clips of my DNA showing you where it says the Igbo's listed there. Then I could show you another clip record where it says that it has the Limbas listed there, along with other tribes that have been confirmed to be Israelites. But anything and anyone but the Negroes. Because when Ron Dalton's book is about Negroes, us, you, me, being connected to the ancient Israelites. That's the primary thing with the book. That's the primary thing with the movie. Whether you agree with some or don't agree, disagree, if you disagree with some of the stuff, that's fine. I know everyone is not going to agree with what I teach, what I say. That's fine. But we have to do things and we have to have integrity. But family, anything, anyone but the Negroes. I'll say that again. Anything and anyone but the Negroes. So let me go back to this article here. For those that may be watching for the very first time, let me go back to this article here. Let me see where it is, right? Let's go to this article here. This is the Rolling Stones article that, pretty much triggered it all. Let me pull this up here. All right. All right. Let's pull up this Rolling Stone article here. Right. And this is the initial tweet that Kyrie made on October 27th. This is the Rolling Stones article by John Blistein. Kyrie Irving boosts anti-Semitic movie peddling Jews slave ships. Right. And this is the article right here. Now, matter of fact, because I mentioned the Willie Lynch letter, right? So let me highlight something here. Let me bring something up here. I thought I had it here because I'm going to explain this Willie Lynch letter to some of you guys that may not be familiar with it. I know I touched on it a little bit and I thought I saved it here, but apparently I didn't. So let me pull it up real quick. Let me see here. Let me see here. I'm going to put a couple of slides here. Let's see here. I think it's in this one right here. Let's see if it comes up. All right. And if it's in this one, then we'll go with this one. Let me see here. All right, I think it's this one. Now let me copy it over here real quick. All right, let's see here. All right, I'm going to copy this over. Oh, no, that's not the full one. Let me get my other one. I thought that was the one that had the full explanation. Let me get the other one here. Willie Lynch. All right, this is the one. Fathers no longer needed. And I'm going to copy this over so that way you guys can see it. All right, so I'm doing this on the fly, family. Let's see here. All right. Y'all know me, I'm very particular when it comes to my presentations. So let's deal with the Willie Lynch letter real quick. And then we'll get into a couple of things about this article. Let me copy this over. So that way this shows up on your screen. Here we go. All right. All right. So let's talk about the Willie Lynch letter real quick. So that way we understand exactly what we're seeing here. Let's go to here. Let's start here. All right. Lynching. And what you see in the backdrop there, family, that is an actual end result of a lynching, right? See, family, most of us don't understand what a lynching is. You know, many will say, oh, you know what? The Willie Lynch letter is made up. It's not real. Like you probably got some people inside the chat. Moderators, feel free. If anyone acts crazy or posting any crazy stuff, knock them out. What I mean by that is, let me be clear, block them if they're acting crazy. Time out, but if they going over the top, block them out, right? So I want to make sure I'm clear on that. All right. So some would say, oh, the Willie Lynch letter didn't exist. Whether you believe it existed or not, but the principles within that letter is real. Because if we go here and we see, for example, the Etymology dictionary definition of lynching, right? You'll see that there's somebody by the name of, that goes by the name of this person. Matter of fact, I'm here in Virginia. You have Lynchburg, Virginia out here. But let's look at the content of this letter. Let me stretch my screen out. Let's look at the content. All right, because some would try to scream, oh, well, the Willie Lynch letter it wasn't real. Start getting into that hop and bob spirit. Because you got some of our brothers and sisters, a few, not a lot, a few that get into the spirit of hop and bob. Well, the Willie Lynch letter is not existed. If we look at the way that it's written, and then I'm not receiving that. But let's go to the Etymology dictionary of lynching. It says inflict severe, but not deliberately fatal bodily punishment. And we know when we got lynched, it was deliberately to produce a fatal response. See, we could talk about what happened to us, not just in the transatlantic world. We could talk about the Black Holocaust. We could talk about the number of Blacks that are not mentioned, along with the Holocaust, especially what happened over there in Auschwitz and some of those places. You don't hear us being mentioned in those conversations. Even when you think of anti-Semitism, you're not thinking of Black Jews. You're not thinking of Black Jews. Because normally the ones that you see, and this is no disrespect to anyone in that community, but for the most part, you see those that are Caucasian. But again, going back with this Willie Lynch letter, right? Or the etymology of lynch. Notice what it says. Inflict severe, but not deliberately fatal bodily punishment on someone without legal sanctions. And notice what it says here. It gives you some information named after William Lynch, of Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania, Virginia. All right. Other sources trace the name to Charles Lynch, a Virginia magistrate. Originally, any sort of summary justice done without authority of law for a crime or public offense. All right. But it goes on to say, the narrowing of the meaning to extra legal execution by hanging is evident by the 1880s. And after 1893, lynching mostly meant killing of blacks by white mobs, especially in retaliation for allegedly sexual assaults of white women. So when you start getting into the hanging, right, that's the end portion of the lynching. The lynching is the total process. It's not just hanging someone on a tree. All right. So let me see here. I'm trying to see if I recognize some of the names here because I know there's a lot of trolls in. Let me see. I can't see some of my normal followers here, and I would give you guys a wrench to help handle this chat here because we got looks like we got over 1,700 people here. Hit the like and subscribe button, family, if you appreciate what you're hearing. Matter of fact, let me see if Keith Wilson is still in. I think he's here. I think you do have you are a moderator, but let me make sure here. Let me add. Let me give some of you guys a couple of wrenches here to help offset because this chat is going pretty fast. Let me switch this around. All right. Let's see here. All right, let me see here. All right, I'm going to give you guys some wrenches to kind of help facilitate. All right, somebody gave, okay, appreciate you, Joy. Matter of fact, because he's acting, continuously acting up, looking here, just continue to, just completely kick him out. Yeah, see you, Angie. Yeah, just kick him out. I know it's a lot. Let me see here. Who else here? I thought I saw. All right. I'll just keep this window open here so that way if I see some familiar faces here, I'll just give you guys a wrench so that way you guys can help facilitate this chat. Let me see here. Malaka, I'm giving you a wrench if you're still there. All right. Let's see. Who else do we have here? All right. I'm trying to see if it's anyone else here. All right. So, guys, if you see anyone acting crazy inside the chat, you know what to do. Don't even give them room to act crazy here. All right. Let me see here. And some of you guys with wrenches, make sure you're not acting crazy too. All right. Love you guys. But let me see here. Sister Carol, I see you there. Appreciate it, big sis. Who else here? All right. See my buddy Jay Highstyle. Appreciate it, family. Really appreciate it. All right. And I'll dish a couple of wrenches out as we go along. If I see some familiar faces, it's a lot here inside the chat. All right. Don't want to spend too much time going through here. All right. Okay. Here we go. Apologies, family. See my cousin Benea. Appreciate you. All right. Appreciate you, cuz. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about this here. All right. Let's go into the letter. And what you see in the backdrop, the background here, this is an actual lynching. The end results of a lynching. This is a brother man, being treated like game, like someone went and caught a deer or someone went fishing and got a large catch. He's on a port. here being presented like game. All right. But the Willie Lynch system produced the lynching law. Right. And here's some quotes from his letter and how to emasculate the Negro. And I'm going to show a couple other things here tonight. Hence, both the horse and the Negro must be broken. Right now, I'm going to show you here what they talk about, the civilized and the uncivilized. Right. When you think of Kyrie Irving, they use the label. They label him as being a free thinker. Like free thinking, the way it's being used is interchangeable with uncivilized. And I'm going to show you here. Hence, both the horse and the Negro must be broken. That is breaking them from one form of mental life to another. Keep the body, take the mind. In other words, break the will to resist. When it comes to breaking the uncivilized niggas, right? I'm going to say it that way. I'm going to say it a few ways because you guys know what I'm going at when I say this, because a lot of people get offended. Oh, did he just say niggas? Did he say negas? Did he say nagad? For those that are watching for the first time, let me let you hear a spelling bee. And before I let you hear the spelling bee, let me let you hear a Bible app called the Blue Letter Bible that allows you to hear the audio of pronunciation of the word. So let me let you hear what it says about that word that I just mentioned. The proper clarity of that word. Here it is.
Strong's G 3526. Niger. Niger. Strong's G 3526. Niger. Niger.
So guess what, family? I'm saying that word out of order. I'm not insulting anyone, but that word was actually an honorable word. That's why Kyrie made a reference of going to the root words and meaning of words to make sure he has proper clarity. And that word nigger, Nigger, and that word Niger, which is not Niger, is actually pronounced the same way. It comes from interchangeable with nigas, the Greek pronunciation, as you just heard here. It's also negas, which is also an Ethiopian title, right? Let me let you hear the spelling bee so that way you can hear it here, right? Because this is a kid in the spelling bee struggling. Here it is. Notice what it says here. Here it is.
Negus.
Negus. Negus.
And would you say the word loudly for the judges?
Nigga.
Negus.
One more time.
Nigger.
Negus.
Negus. Nigga.
Negus.
All right. That's courtesy of the Boondocks. Now, what's going on here? Don't tell me this. Let me close some of this stuff out here. All right. That's courtesy of the Boondocks, right? Now, again, that's a spelling bee. This white kid got asked to spell the word niggas. And then he asked, can you put it in a sentence? This is it right here.
Could you use it in a sentence?
Real nigga roll call. Niggas bleed. Jigga my nigga. Niggas for life. Real niggas don't die. Shame on a nigga. Suck a nigga. Ain't no nigga. Ain't no nigga. Ain't no nigga.
All right. So again, and I'll just put a little Boondocks spin to it just to bring humor to it. So that word niggas, Negus, niggas, right? Also Niger, Niger, the word Negro, Negro or Roe. Guess what? All comes from the same word. The Hebrew word is nagid or nagad, right? And Nagid or Nagad. And David was referred to as a nagid, which is interchangeable with nagas or negas or negas. So I want to make sure you guys understand that, because again, when you start going to root words, you'll understand that they have a completely different meaning, especially words that was honorable words in our cultures. Look up the word queen and see what comes out of that. All right. So let's get back here. So when it comes to breaking the uncivilized niggas, use the same process, but vary the degree and step up the pressures so as to do a complete reversal of the mind. Take the meanest and most ruthless Negro, strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male Negroes. Aren't we seeing that right now? Because what's happening is Kyrie is being forced. They want Kyrie to verbally come out and say, I apologize. The NBA commissioner want Kyrie to say, I apologize. Use those words. That's what the reporter said. The reporter even said it. Want you to actually say the words, I apologize. And Kyrie is like, wait a minute, I'm not apologizing for the movie. He's making it a distinction between the two. But we got the Hoppin' Bobs and the Hoppin' Bobettes that are trying to push that narrative. Take the meanest and most restless Negro, strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male Negroes, the female, and the Negro infant. Tar, feather him, tie each leg to a different horse, face in opposite direction, set him a fire and beat both horses to pull him apart in front of the remaining Negroes. That's what we see happening right now. That's what we see happening right now. That's why I say it's bigger than Kanye West. It's bigger than Kyrie. It's about this awakening. It's about this great awakening that is happening right now. Many of our people are saying enough is enough. We know who we are. I got my DNA to prove it. We got family tradition. I know in my family, we got family tradition. Right? Family tradition. Family tradition. For some of you guys that may not know some of the family tradition, this is First African Baptist Church, Savannah, Georgia. Down at that church in Savannah, Georgia, 1773 is when the congregation came together. The initial name of the church was the Ethiopian Church of Christ. But in 1773, it became First African Baptist Church, constituted in 1778. And guess what? Hebrew writings are on those pews. Not just Hebrew writings. That's one of the highlights there. It's all kinds of Shemitic writings all through it, and symbols all through it. Ethiopian writings on the pews, meshed with Hebrew writings on the pews. Not just on the pews. You see the influence of Ethiopia all through there. You even see the pastors, which my uncle, Dr. Jerry, excuse me, I'm about to say Jerry Carr, I'm saying my grandfather, James Wesley Carr, right, who was one of the pastors there. And honored, and I want to say honor to my cousin who transitioned, Dr. Sean Carter. Thank you guys for the condolences. Had to, be there for my family the past couple of days. That's why I haven't done did any lives or uploads, because family is first. I had to make sure my family is straight out there. Shout out to my family, the Cars that's out in Gary, Indiana, out in Warren, Ohio, Youngstown, Ohio. Shout outs to them as well. The Carr family that's out there. And to my cousin, Shalonda, hold your head up. We got you. We got you covered. We're here for you. All right. So getting back here, family, getting back here. Right. Let me show you a clip from that church real quick.
Look on the outside edge of the pews. Look on the outside edge of the pews where you are. You see the different markings alongside the edge of the pews? They represent the different tribes that made up our congregation back then and spoke over 6 different languages among themselves. These were small tribes enslaved by larger tribes and sold to Europeans as they came along the African coast. One of the major languages they spoke back then was that of Aramaic and also too of Hebrew, which means the writings read from bottom to top. Assalamu alaikum. Which means, peace be unto you. It's not a Muslim term. It's actually the same greeting which Christ gave into the disciple when he met them in that region. Most countries in that region read from right to left. Here in America, we read from left to right. That's why the pastors in the St. Glass window up front here are going in Numbers 2 through 7 from the right-hand side over to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left.
This is First African Baptist Church, the oldest black church in North America. The building built by slaves. The gentleman that laid the first brick laid the last. The balcony hold pews that actually were built by slaves. They have the oldest information in this building. That information is written in cursive Hebrew writing.
All right, so you don't hear about this history, right? You don't hear about the history about the Hebrew Israelites on those slave ships. Not converts, been proven to be blood descendants of the ancient Israelites. The Igbos were confirmed by the Obadiah Alliance. We already know about the Limba. We already know about the Yoruba, Bambara. I could go down the list of some that have already been confirmed. And if you did your DNA, especially if you put it up on GEDmatch, guess what? You will see a list of a number of Shemitic groups in your DNA. And again, we're not converts. We didn't convert to being who we are by way of a religion. All right, but anyway, let's get back to it. Take the meanest and most restless Negro. Take the meanest and most restless Negro, strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male Negroes, the female and the Negro infant, tar and feather him, tie each leg to a different horse, face in opposite directions, set him a fire and beat both horses to pull him apart in front of the remaining Negroes. And it goes on to say the remaining Negro male to the point of death in front of the female and infant. Don't kill him, and this is the next one that's in line. Don't kill him, but put the fear of God in him, for he can be useful for future breeding. Come on, family. Show me what group of people went through this. Show me one group of people that went through this, that was treated like animals, breeding, cattle slavery. Some of the things that you can't even imagine happened to our people. Red Summer, not just Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Tulsa the massacre out in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street was a continuation of things and events that started in like 1917, 1918. In the height of it was in 1919. Red Summer or Blood Summer, where over 60 of our communities were bombed. They dispatched the military. Wasn't just Tulsa. That's the history just focused on Tulsa. But I have images, I have proof, I have records that they dispatched military down in Louisiana. They dispatched military to deal with our people, to suppress our people, I'm talking about heavy artillery, Gatling guns, the whole nine. But no one talks about that history. We only focus on Tulsa. But even the tragedy that's happening to Tulsa, out of the thousands of people that was murdered, that was robbed, that was left homeless, only 3. The courts just declared earlier this year, only 3. The surviving 3, not their families, not their daughters, not their sons or daughters, not any of them, only the surviving 3 can file. And if they're still alive, they can get compensation. But if they die in the process, they don't get nothing. Nada. Come on, family. But we don't talk about that history. In the letter, he further gives instructions, in other words, laws, and how to systematically break the woman's trust in the man, right? He says this:
we have reversed the relationship in her natural uncivilized state. She would be a strong dependency. She would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized negas, male, and she would have a limited protective tendency towards her independent male offspring and would raise male offspring to be dependent like her. See, guess what? It says, embarrass him, humiliate him, so that way all the people would no longer look at this person as being dependent. Right? Now she will be that uncivilized male. Now her security will be now taken from him to who? The very oppressors. Showing the children, teaching the children that the black man, the Negro, the negas cannot protect them. Nature had provided for this type of balance. We reversed nature by burning and pulling a civilized Negro apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. By her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen independent state. We see that happening right now because this process wasn't just a one-time, one generation process. It's supposed to be a perpetual process. That's the goal. In this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring and reverse roles. So now that we got that out of the way, that's what we see happening right now, right? That puts you in the mindset of Roots. So let's go to this article, and I'm gonna drop the link inside the comment section for those that want to come on and have a discussion. I want to say peace and blessings for the contribution by Young Brew. I thought I saw it here, and if anyone else gave contributions, my apologies for missing it because I have one screen. I still didn't make my way over to get me another screen to put on my desk here. I'll try to do that this weekend. So, Rolling Stones, John Blistein, Kyrie Irving boosts anti-Semitic movie, peddling Jewish slave ships, right? Peddling Jewish slave ships. That's in the title here. The title here. But again, hours before Brooklyn Nets lost on Thursday, noted free thinker and basketball player Kyrie Irving, and notice the things that they're saying about him, all the stereotypical things. Oh, he don't ever want to go to work. He always look. Y'all know Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith wrote him about him not taking the jab. Oh, Kyrie, he just so irresponsible. Kyrie this, Kyrie that. Oh, anyone that don't have the jab, you can't work with me. I can't work with nobody that don't have the jab. Stephen A. Smith was saying all kinds of stuff. But since he's taken the vaccine, he done had COVID, 3 times? He's out on COVID right now. I haven't had it, right? I haven't had it. And I stood firm on my ground. I stood firm on this solid ground. But they rolled Kyrie on that. Rode him hard, and they pushed the narrative. Kendrick Perkins, all those guys. Kyrie, you can't trust it. He can't be trusted. Got our own people. If you notice a lot of the images when you start looking at slavery and you look at some of the beatings, the buck breaking, you'll see our people right in the middle of it doing a lot of the whipping. Right? And I'm going to do something real quick, just so that way we get a clear understanding, right? Once we get to another place here, another place we can stop here. Matter of fact, I don't need to put this Georgia thing here. Let me add a slide here for those that are not familiar with some of the things that I'm pointing out here. Let me do this here. Let me pull up a couple of images here. And let's see here. Let's see. I think it's right here. Yeah, let me pull some of this in here. I want to pull some of these in here
So you can pay attention to the name at the bottom of some of these. That's not the one I'm looking for. So you can see the name at the bottom of some of these slave auctions. Because the way it's going now, right? You can't even talk about the Jewish community as far as their participation in the slave trade, in the slave world war, because that could be listed as perception, right? Remember, they said the perception. I thought I had a folder here, and I just want to show you a couple of images so you guys can see. If not, I'll have to do it another time. But let me just at least put one or two. See, I got so many folders here. Let me put one up here so you can see the name. Let me see if it's on this one. Yeah, I have to do it another time. I thought I could remember the folder, so we won't worry about it. We'll deal with it when we get to it. I'll have it for the next time we come together. But let's deal with this here. Now, I want you to pay attention to this, right? I want you to hear what the rabbi stated, and I want you to pay attention to here. Twitter to boost a movie and book, Hebrews to Negro, stuffed with anti-Semitic tropes. That is the buzzword that you hear circulating. Have you? And I want you guys to listen here. They are using the Rolling Stones article as their talking points. And I'm going to show you that I can pick this letter apart. But let me show you something here. Let me show you something, not letter, but article. Notice again, Hebrews to Negro stuff with anti-Semitic tropes, right? Now, notice what this rabbi said. Notice what this rabbi says.
Why is the material in this book and film so deeply offensive?
Absolutely. So just here in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles City Council passed 2 days ago the definition of anti-Semitism according to the IHRA, which is the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. And in that definition, it says that a perception of hatred to the Jewish community is the definition of anti-Semitism. Now, Charles Barkley asked me 2 days ago, have I read it or seen that movie? And so when he asked, I looked it up and I started seeing what those anti-Semitic tropes were. Number one, there's untruths there. And when untruths are then seen as truths to the next person, that leads to very dangerous consequences.
All right. Now, did you guys hear what he said, right? He said tropes. He used the word tropes, anti-Semitic tropes, right? That's what he used, anti-Semitic tropes. And I think I found the folder here. Anti-Semitic tropes. That's what he used. If you guys heard what I heard, he quoted here, stuff with anti-Semitic tropes. So he's actually quoting this article here. If you agree, hit 1. If you disagree, type 2. And if you want me to play it again, type 3. Let's do some investigating, family. The Hebrew word shamai or shamai, it means to listen with intelligence. It also means discernment. So if you heard what I heard, type 1. If you didn't hear it, type 2. If you need me to play it again, type 3. All right. So he echoed exactly what's here. Somebody put 7. He echoed exactly what's here. All right. So Michael Charles Marsh, right? Peace and blessings to you. I'll play it one more time for you. I see a couple of 3s here. I'm going to play it one more time. Listen closely, right? This is how we have to really start listening. It's time for us to stop depending on other people to tell us what we need to do and what need not to be done, right? We're going to listen
with our own ears. Now, make a note of here, right? It's dealing with the movie, right? It says to boost a movie and book, it says here, Hebrews to Negroes stuffed with anti-Semitic tropes, but didn't give any examples, right? But notice, let's play it. I'm going to play it one more time. All right. Listen carefully, guys. Listen, the rabbi is going to say the exact same words.
Why is the material in this book and film so deeply offensive?
Absolutely. So just here in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles City Council passed 2 days ago the definition of anti-Semitism according to the IHRA, which is the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. And in that definition, it says that a perception of hatred to the Jewish community is the definition of anti-Semitism. Now, somebody asked, Charles Barkley asked me 2 days ago, have I read or seen that movie? And so when he asked, I looked it up and I started seeing what those anti-Semitic tropes were. Number one, there's untruths there. And when untruths are then seen as truths to the next person, that leads to very dangerous consequences.
So you guys heard the same thing I heard, right? He said, he echoed the same thing. Now, if you heard the same thing, I don't want to sway you one way or the other. Did you guys hear it? Did you guys hear the exact same thing? If you heard the exact same thing, type 1. All right. The exact same thing was echoed here. The exact same thing. He's quoting from this article here. The exact same thing. All right. So let's continue. I'm going to drop the link here. The film, the 2018 film, was directed by Ronald Dalton Jr. based upon his 2015 book of the same name. A description for the film states that it uncovers the true identity of the children of Israel, while a similar one for the book reads, since the Europeans and Arab slave traders stepped foot into Africa, Blacks have been told lies about their heritage. Both suggest Hebrews to Negroes espouse ideas in line with more extreme factions of the Black Hebrew Israelites, which have a long history of misogyny, homophobia, xenophobia, Islamophobia, and especially anti-Semitism. So it's hitting on every group just about in this country, every major group in this country. The Black Hebrew Israelite movement is fairly broad, comprising organizations that, per the Anti-Defamation League, operate semi-independently. In other words, what it's saying is so many different groups that there's no commonality among the group. The movement generally coalesces, excuse me, I'm messing it up here, around the notion that the Black people are the real descendants of the ancient Israelites. So it's saying that that's the notion. It's saying that's the notion, not facts, that the Black people are the real descendants of the ancient Israelites, with more extreme factions claiming that Black people have been robbed of their identity as being God's chosen people via the Southern Poverty Law Center. So it paints this picture here before I start quoting anything from the actual book. But it's pulling those things of, the Black Hebrew Israelites, the Black Hebrew Israelites. It's those extreme sects that have often parroted classic anti-Semitic tropes. There we go again, like claiming European Jews, often referred to as the synagogue of Satan, wield outsized control over society, especially in industries like banking and media. They've also pushed anti-Semitic claims that Jews are responsible for slavery and the effeminizing of Black men. Right? At one point in the purported documentary, Irving shared Dalton, who narrates the film, brings up the real truth about the slave trade. He claims that when teaching slavery, Schools don't mention the involvement of the Catholic Church, Arab, East Africa, or Islamic slave traders, or the Jewish slave ships that brought our West African Negroes or Bantu ancestors to slave ports owned by Jews, right? And when we went here, right, this is a book, and I'm not going to read all of this, guys. I don't want to get into all this. You know, if you guys go watch the video I did last Shabbat, or last Saturday night, rather, you'll see the source there. I quoted. I'm not going to go to that. I don't want to go into this again because it's time consuming. Jews and Judaism in the United States by Mark Lee Raphael. Get this book. The link and everything is in the description of the previous video I did, live I did. I list a number of sources there that you can download. All right. Or you could go to the links. Right. So this is just proving, and it tells you that the Jewish community played a major role in the transatlantic slave trade. They ran stuff down in Brazil, South America. What's that? The Caribbean islands. They make it clear. United States, they were running things. Mark Lee Raphael. I don't have to make it up. This is the source right here. I'm not getting into all of this for the sake of time. All right. So the church, right? This is not a lie. Not just the Jewish community as we know them. We have the Catholic Church. This article here, Slavery in the Catholic Church. I encourage you guys to download this. It's in the description of the other video, and it goes into the details of what the Roman Catholic Church declared and applied the rules of war to West Africa, right? Against our ancestors. So this right here, this source right here, literally just the two things I highlighted completely confirms and shows and proves that Ronald Dalton was not lying with what he said about not just the Jewish community, but all the the different communities around the world. It was a world war, no matter how you slice and dice it. Kyrie Irving even mentioned about over 350 million of our ancestors that have died, right? Buried, died, right? So that's what Kyrie Irving was making mention of. But it goes on to say, Hebrews to Negroes, the book contains even more instances of anti-Semitism. The book fourth chapter, when did racism towards blacks starts by falsely suggesting that anti-black racism can be traced back to key Jewish texts, right? And he goes on and quote from the book, Western Education and Religious Ties, tries to teach the world that blacks are cursed with their skin colored by the curse of Ham, Canaan. This is also taught in the European Jewish documents and the teachings of the Talmud book in Judaism. Some can say that it established a base for black racism even before the KKK. So what does Ron Book actually say about this? Because according to John Blistein, Ron Dalton starts chapter 4 of his book by falsely suggesting that anti-black racism can be traced back to key Jewish texts, right? Is he correct? Right? Let's go here. Right? This is Ron Dalton's book. This is chapter 4. Right? The middle section is what he quoted. But he didn't quote the first line. He didn't quote this line right here. And as you notice here, Ron Dalton gives sources, Jewish Torah anthology. And then over here, even though he started mentioning something else, he's dealing with things that are inside the Talmud. For example, Baba Metzia, 114a, 114b, only Jews are human. Yeba Math, 98a, all Gentile children are animals. Sanhedrin 59a, murdering goyim is like killing a wild animal. But here is where he used a Jewish source to deal with the curse of Ham. But I don't see it over here. I don't see it over here, but he lists sources. Whether you agree with the source or not, he listed sources. So how can someone be anti-Semitic, but then the writer, when they're using the source of the actual people that are saying that or pointing the finger saying, oh, that's you anti-Semitic because you pointing to our sources. Wait a minute. I'm showing you right here, family. He quoted the yellow, but didn't quote the rest of this. He didn't say, hey, he's using the Jewish Torah anthology as his point of reference. He did not do that. And that's misleading. That's being deceptive. Oftentimes growing up, I wondered if the original man and woman were white, then where did black people come from? In the black church, most African Americans are taught in Sunday school lessons that Adam and Eve are white. Come on, family. We all been taught that. Western education and religion tries to teach the world that blacks are cursed with their skin. And so according to this writer, he said that, Ron Dalton starts chapter 4 of his book falsely suggesting that anti-black racism can be traced back to key Jewish texts. And he says again, he said this is a false suggestion, which is completely wrong. If Ron Dalton took this to court, forget trying to settle this in a court of public opinion. He could take this to court for defamation and slander, because starting with the Rolling Stones article, he has a legitimate case here, because now all are talking about his book and his movie, whether you agree with what he says or not. But this is what is being said. This writer did not quote. He literally said that Ron is false. He said, let me say it again here. He says, Ron Dalton starts chapter 4 of his book by falsely suggesting that anti-black racism can be traced back to key Jewish texts. But let's see here again. In Jewish Torah Anthology, Volume 1, it gives the pages the detail of the true origin of the slanderous belief that blacks received the punishments, curses from Canaan, reads as follow, right? So he's given a source here, right? And this is what he did not include in his article. So let me put it back up here. He didn't include this in his article. He didn't include this in the article. He just included this right here. Okay. So what's missing? Yeah, Ron Dalton's quotes are missing from that article. And again, this is the book. When I get this book in, we're going to match it up to Ron's quotes inside his book to see if what he says is accurate. See if Ron is misleading. See if he's misleading us. So I ordered this book. Hopefully I have it over the next before this weekend, by this weekend rather, and that way we can actually go into this book, right? So going back here, right? I'm gonna start here. Western education and religion tries to teach the world that blacks are cursed with their skin, colored by the curse of Ham. This is also taught in European documents and in the reading of the Talmud book in Judaism. Some can say that it established the base for black racism even before the KKK. In the Jewish Torah Anthology, Volume 1, and these are the pages, the details of the true origin of this slanderous belief that blacks received the punishment curses from Canaan reads as follows. And this is the teaching. This is the quote. Because he, Ham, looked at his naked father Noah, his eyes became red, always appearing bloodshot, referring to Africans. Because he, Ham, mockingly told his brothers about his father's condition. His lips were made thick and gross like those of a Negro. because he, Ham, turned his head to see his father, Noah, the hair of his head and his beard became kinky because he did not cover his father. It was decreed that he always go naked and blackened by the sun. So guess what? We don't have to go to that source, but we will confirm that source. But we could go to another source, which is the Talmud, the Barakoth 58b. Remember this? We covered this already, but I want to just reiterate this point. Strange creatures. Blessed is he who makes strange creatures. The rabbis is having a discussion here, which is called the apparatic criticus, right? When you're dealing with the Talmud. Rabbi A says, Rabbi B says, Rabbi C says. That's how it's written. So blessed is he, be he who makes strange creatures. An objection was raised if one see a Negro, a red or white person, a hunchback, a dwarf. So a Negro, in other words, it says if one sees a Negro, also if he see a very red, or in other words, a light-skinned Negro, or a very white, in other words, an albino Negro, someone that's dealing with albinism, a hunchback, a Negro that's deformed, or a dwarf. This is getting into the twas, the pygmies, right? The terms that they didn't come up with. The colonizers created these terms. The twas, when you get into the origins of, when you start understanding Ireland, these are the leprechauns, the little people. It was the twas, TWA. They were inhabiting. That's who the so-called Pope or Saint, what's his name, Patrick, cast it out. He didn't cast out no snakes. The elevation don't even allow snakes to live there. What he cast out, what he killed, you're dealing with a genocide of a group of people that was there well before they landed in that territory. The Twas. I encourage you guys to watch the lesson I did on that. It's in the one of the playlists. All right. So our rabbis taught on seeing an elephant. This is now when you're getting into comparing us to animals, apes. An ape or a long-tailed ape. One says, blessed is he who makes strange creatures. But I don't want to stop right there. Let's get into what he said about Ham. Let's get into that. Sanhedrin, or Sanhedrin rather, 108b. Let's see what Sanhedrin 108b says. Right. And this is what I'm quoting right here. Our rabbis taught 3 copulated in the ark, and they were all punished. The dog, the raven, and Ham. The dog was doomed to be tied. The raven expectorates his seed into his mate's mouth, and Ham was smitten in his skin. And it gives you the footnote. Right. So I just put it all inside this bullet right here so that way you can see it. This is, again, our rabbis taught 3 copulated in the ark, and they were all punished. The dog, the raven, and Ham. The dog was doomed to be tied. The raven expectorates his seeds into his mate's mouth, and Ham was smitten in his skin. An example, from him descended Cush, the Negro, who is black-skinned. So it says Ham was smitten in his skin. Come on, family. It's right here in front of us. Right? It's right here in front of us, family. Is he correct with his accusation? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He even talked about here, this other part you could pick apart. I already did it. The video is based on venomously anti-Semitic books, which asserts that many famous high-ranking Jews have admitted to worshiping Satan or Lucifer. So this is what he's referring to, right? He's referring to this portion. Most Jews do not like to admit it, but our God is Lucifer. So I wasn't lying. And we are his chosen people. Lucifer is much alive. Prominent Jewish Jew, Harold Wallace Rosenthal, author of Hidden Tyranny, 1976. So this telling you right here, Ron is giving sources. He's not making this up. Whether you agree with the sources or not, how can someone be called anti-Semitic by using someone that is considered to be Semitic? So Ron Dalton is anti-Semitic for quoting what is supposed to be a Semitic quote here. So the original writer is that he's making a reference to is an Ashkenazi Jew, but the person that's quoting him is anti-Semitic. That doesn't make sense, family, right? But it goes on to say, interesting enough, in earlier years, many Jews and Europeans, Scottish and York Freemasons have claimed that they worship Satan and Lucifer. See, and I'm not going to get into that again, family, but I'm just going to highlight this one thing right here. The hidden tyranny, the issue that dwarfs all other issues, right? And this is what Ron quoted. This is the Rosenthal document. This is what he quoted. It's the exact same quote. Most Jews do not like to admit it, but our God is Lucifer. So I wasn't lying, and we are his chosen people. Lucifer is very much alive. So Ron is not lying here. He's not being deceptive. He quoted the exact quote. And this guy is a prominent Ashkenazi Jew, because here it is. This article right here tells you that he was killed a month later after that interview that I just highlighted. He was killed a month later in a terrorist attack, right? And this is just the article right here telling you that. And it shows his name here. Killed and also killed during the attack was Harold Rosenthal, an aide to Senator Jacob Javits. Y'all know the Jacob Javits Center up in New York, right? Downtown Manhattan. Y'all know what I'm talking about, over, I believe, if I remember correctly, over in Canal Street area. Haven't been up there in so long. But Harold Rosenthal, he was an aide to Senator Jacob Javits. Harold Rosenthal, he was a prominent Jew. That's, Ron said he was prominent. Ashkenazi Jew. Did he lie? Because I see him here. He was a Jew, an aide to the senator. He had a government position. He had a security clearance. A top secret security clearance. I can assure you that if he's a senator's aide, I can tell you that he had his top secret security clearance. So was Harold Rosenthal a Jew or Jewish? Right? I'm not going to get into Hollywood runs things. Let me get fast forward here. I just want to get, this confirms what Kanye said about that too. The quote that he made. And this is an article by a Jewish guy by the name of Joel Stein, who actually confirms and makes it clear that the Jews run Hollywood. He said more Jewish than ever. So I'm not going to get into all that. So this is coming from the Reagan online library. The Jew, Mr. Harold Wallace Rosenthal, made his statement after admitting Jewish dominance in all significant national programs. He said, "We Jews continue to be amazed with the ease by which Christian Americans have fallen into our hands, while the the naive Americans wait for Khrushchev to bury them." Right. But nevertheless, I want to highlight that he is a Jew. He is a prominent Jew. And he's dealing with the very things that we talk about, not we talking about, but what Kyrie Irving highlighted, but more so Kanye West highlighted about media. Asks how a nation could be captured without their knowing it. Mr. Rosenthal attributed this victory to an absolute control of the media. He boasted of Jewish control of all news. So Mr. Rosenthal wouldn't be considered to be anti-Semitic because he's Jewish. But basically, based upon what we're seeing today, if anyone makes a reference to this source, you are anti-Semitic, even though the source is not. How does that work, family? Can somebody help me with that? How does that work? I'm going to drop the link in my cousin Benea. If you're still there, I'm going to drop the link in there. Sister Carol, if you're still there, Jay Highstyle, I'm going to drop the link here. I know it's getting kind of late. Some of you guys probably get up early in the morning, right? So, family, I didn't want to go through this all over again, but I wanted you to see this here, right? But let me answer a question that I meant to go over, right? Let me see if I can answer that here. All right. All right. So I'm not going to get into this portion of it. Yeah, this is getting into Freemasonry, and this is a pretty lengthy portion of the slide to confirm that Freemasonry is heavily relies on Judaism. The Kabbalah is filled with it. Albert Pike, Life is Levy, introduced it. And also I have influences of how that influences other communities and all that. So I'm just not going to get into all of that.
Just trying to see what else here. All right, family, let me show you. Let me show you one thing that I didn't show. Because one of the things in that interview that rabbi said, he said, hey, you know, the Jewish community comes in all colors, right? Let me see here. How you doing, sis? I'm going to bring you on in 1 second. Let me bring some up real quick, okay?
No problem, brother.
All right, let me bring some up real quick. Let's see here. See if this comes up. All right, let me stop this one here. All right, family, because I'm going to show you this here because these are some of the questions because the rabbi in the full interview, I didn't put it here because it was just too much time to edit it. But he pointed out in that interview that the Jews come in all colors, right? Not just all colors, but all different groups. You know, they have different groups, Asian groups and that type of thing, right? So I want to answer a question here. Actually, I want to answer a couple of things here real quick. Actually, I'm going to start with the Middle East because the Middle East was invented for many. Some of you guys may not know. This is an article by the New York Times confirming that until this century, nobody talked about the Middle East because neither the term nor the states in the region existed. Right. So this article is making it clear the Middle East was coined in 1901 by Admiral Alfred Thayer Mahon. Right. So this is making it clear that the Middle East did not exist. It was actually called Northeast Africa. So let me highlight another thing here. Okay. Yeah. So this is what we see today when we look at the Jewish community. We see a number of different images here, a number of different groups of people. So the question, if you guys didn't ask it or I haven't asked this before, I know I have, how can we come in different shades like this, you know, far as not different shades, different ethnicities, because we as a community, we come in different shades, but we don't come in different ethnicities as we see here. So before I go into this, let me play a quick clip for those that want to understand the Middle East. Let me play this real quick and we'll start getting into some of the calls. I got my sister here. Matter of fact, congratulations, sis. Because did you get married yet? Malaka, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, brother. And no, I did not. I will not be. Right now, I'm on the battlefield for Yahuwah, so there's no time for nothing else.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
if I put the business out there like that. Okay,
no, you good. You good, brother. You good. Trust me. You good. It's fine.
Okay, I'm gonna show a quick clip, and I'm gonna highlight something real quick about the distances of the DNA. Let me show something real quick for those that just to give a little more understanding of the Middle East. Let me show you something here real quick. Here we go.
Most Egyptologists and anthropologists, archaeologists of the Eurocentric persuasion will say that Egypt is in Africa. They had to concede that, but then they still draw the line by saying that they weren't Africans like that. In other words, they weren't dark-skinned people. And of course, this is all part of the Great Deception. And the reality is that if they give up Egypt, ancient Kemet, if they give that up and say that that was a part of Black Africa, then they will also have to give up Israel. And that's why they draw the line at Egypt, because if they give up Egypt, they've got to give up Israel.
Now, we're going to go over here, and I'm going to show you where Israel sits on the African tectonic plate, which means that Israel is Northeast Africa. Now, when we look at this map, this is the Sinai, okay? This is the Red Sea. This is Egypt. This is the Sinai. This is Israel. All right, this is Saudi Arabia over here. Now, if you see this in Hebrew, it says Haluach Africani, the African plate. Here it is right here. Israel is sitting right here. Israel is sitting on the Haluaka Africani, which means that Israel is northeast Africa.
Without question, we are in Northeast Africa. We are landlocked to Egypt, with the exception of the Suez Canal, which was a man-made ditch, a boundary now between, in fact, it's not even really a boundary anymore since Egypt has reclaimed the Sinai Peninsula. But nevertheless, even those of us who are Pan-Africanists in our thinking and Afrocentric, we forget and we leave off that portion of Northeast Africa and don't want to claim anything beyond that.
Europeans classified this area as the Middle East. You know, and then since this the Middle East, the other question, where the Middle West? Where the Middle North and where the Middle South? They don't have no geographical terms like that.
All right. So, and before they used to refer to it as the Near East, but now it's the Near East, and it was still Africa, but now it's referred to as the Middle East. But let me just share one quick thing. Got my buddy Jay Heist out here, and I got some others that I'm gonna bring on here. But let me just share this real quick about DNA, just a little bit about DNA, right? How can everyone inside this image be different? How can they be completely different, right? And I'm going to show you a book that I recommend all of you guys get this in your library. How can they all be Jews, yet they are completely different? Because many would say, hey, you can't judge them by how somebody look. But, you know, you're going to still see some similarities, right? But I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to introduce to you guys that may not be familiar with this term called genetic distances. If you don't have this book, get this book, right? It deals with it all. This is a Jewish guy, Jitz Van Straten, right? He wrote this book. It's a great book. It's a great read. I wish I had my bag in here. I would pull the book out because this is one of the books I carry with me at all times. This and the Jewish Almanac, one of the many books I keep on my person. But notice what it says about the genetic distances. It says here, a large part of the study was devoted to the determination of genetic distances between different populations. Through this method, genetic markers from different Jewish populations are compared. The smaller the relationship, the more differences in DNA may have arisen. And keep in mind, this book also highlights all the different testings, the tests that they created. We were not included in any of the tests. All right. Such differences are called distances. Okay. So this book highlights, it says 75 Caucasians, in other words, white people, populations based on non-markers. The genetic distances or distance analysts showed that European Jews were closest to the inhabitants of Thrace, the region shared by Bulgaria, Greece, and Turkey. It goes on to say Bulgarian Jews came next, followed by 36 non-Jewish populations, and only then the second Jewish population, the Iranian Jews. Others results showed a large Italian component in the gene pool of the East European Jews. From all these results, it appears, now notice what the findings is. It said it appears genetically, the different Jewish communities do not have much in common. Often they appear to be more related to the population in the midst of which they lived when its genetic materials was available. So what is this telling us? This is basically telling us that they are converts, right? Converted by way of what? Judaism. You know, this is where you start dealing with what is called the law of return, because it says it defines that a Jewish person is a Jew is someone that's either married to a Jewish mother or practices Judaism. All right. So with that being said, got my buddy Jay Heist out here, got Sister Noble here. I think the other sister dropped off before I brought her on, but I'm gonna start with Malaka. Go ahead, Sister Malaka. The floor is yours.
Greetings and shalom, family. Oh my goodness. So where do I begin? Okay, so first of all, what I want to say is, for me, Aaliyah was more than just an R&B singer who had a tragic accident. I am still awaiting our Aliyah. A lot of people believe that Aliyah happened when Is Fake went over there in that region and in that place. Okay, so number one, let's be clear, that's not us. We're still awaiting our Aliyah, but that cannot happen until the brothers and sisters that are still asleep awaken. Okay, that's why the scripture says, who will rouse the sleeping lion? Okay, so I am just so thankful right now that Kyrie and even, you know, the other one, Ye, whatever he's calling himself, I'm so glad that they opened their mouths because, you know, we've been sounding the alarm. We've been sounding the trumpet, right? But there's just a certain amount of us that won't hear from us. So now the people that they're looking up to, the people that they're watching and spending money to go see and, you know, shows and tickets and games and things of that nature, they're saying the things that they need in their ear gates. Okay. So I'm so thankful that that is happening. So let me just say that. Now, a lot of people are pretty much debating whether or not these brothers are sincere, you know, if they're real about it, if they're going to be about it, if they're going to stay about it. What I'm saying is I'm just so thankful that Yahuwah is using them to get this conversation going. Now, with that being said, as they are waking up and coming into the realness of who they are, stop shucking and jiving and bouncing balls for these dudes. I'm gonna say, so you know, I'm a New Yorker. I live right up, you know, not too far. I live in walking distance from the ruckus. Come out of their courts. Come off of their fields. Get out, separate. It is time to come out from among them and be ye separate. What they gonna do when we stop singing and rapping for them and stop dribbling balls and throwing balls and catching balls for them? Okay, so I'm just so thankful that this is happening. And what I will say is, Yasharal, get ready. Get ready, get ready, get ready. Because it's on and popping now. That's all I wanted to say. Let me fall back and
Absolutely.
let my brothers and sisters speak.
Absolutely. And I just want to say this too, for those that are watching, don't get discouraged if Kyrie Irving or Kanye West decides to compromise. Because again, you know, it's easy for us to say what we would do. You know, there was an old joke, right? One of the comedians said, he was like, he and his friend was driving. He said, actually, he said it was a true story. They were driving through a really rural part. I think he said it was Kentucky, somewhere out there. And they got pulled over by a police officer. Said a police officer walked over to his side of the car. And when he rolled his window down, the police officer punched him in the face. Slapped him in the face. And, you know, he slapped him and asked him for his driver's license and registration. And then after he gave it to us, slapped him again. Right. And then he said he took his information and ran it and all that and came back and gave it to him. And just as he got ready to pull off, the officer stopped him and walked around to the passenger side and tapped on the window. His friend rolls the window down. And so the officer slapped his friend. And his friend was like, "Why you hit me for, officer? What do you hit me for? I'm not driving." He said, "So when you get down the road, you don't look over to your friend and said, 'I wish he'd have did that to me.'" Right. And we got a lot of that in our community. You know, it's easy for us to say, "I wish he'd have did that to me." You know, that's one of the insensitive comments that Ye made a while back, a couple of years ago, about slavery, you know, being a choice. You know, it's easy to say what you're going to do when you're the next day or when you're not, when you're far removed from a situation. But man, when you are in the midst of that, getting beat, when your livelihood at stake, can you stand your ground? You know, so these guys, what I thank the Most High for is pushing the conversation further along. It's now we see more and more people are asking questions, right? So that's my thoughts on that. But again, appreciate it, sis. Really appreciate you being on here. And let's see here.
If you want to stay on, feel free to do so. I'm gonna just I'll give some of the other people an opportunity to say something. I got Sister Noble, who's been waiting for a while, and Jay Highstyle. After she, just come on in, okay, my brother.
Hello, everybody, to the panel. This is my first time listening to you. I actually caught the title. It came up in my feed. Kyrie Irving suspended by the New Jersey Nets. I'm really surprised about that, and I'm gonna tell you why. His posting of a movie is his right to do so, as long as he owns that account. I thought that was his right to post, but evidently, we are not living in a country where there is freedom of speech and freedom of the press. I don't think we no longer live in a country like that, where we have the right to speak, say what we want to say, post what we want to post. I wrote an article years ago about there is no freedom of speech in America. I wrote that article years ago. I cannot find it. I was looking for it the other night, but I cannot find it. I feel like this is really bullcrap, the fact that he got suspended by the New Jersey Nets over a posting. But like I said, we don't live in a country where I feel that there is freedom of speech and freedom of the press and freedom of expression. And, I was reading about the Hebrew Israelites. I went to Wikipedia and just one day, looked up the Hebrew Israelites under Wikipedia. And according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, even if you say you're a Black Jew, that is actually anti-Semitism. They have designated that, even by you claiming to be a Black Jew or a Black Hebrew Israelite, they designated that under the Southern Poverty Law Center as anti-Semitism. And yes, that actually is designated under the Southern Poverty Law Center as anti-Semitism. And I can see them making the Hebrew Israelites, all Hebrew Israelite groups, into hate groups. I can see them actually slapping that label on every single Hebrew Israelite group in America. Okay.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. I can see that. They have already demonized the Hebrew Israelites already, but obviously there are many splinters. Okay. There are many splinter groups. Okay. It's not just one group. It's not just one camp. For instance, I studied under GOCC. That's the Gathering of Christ Church, right? That is a Hebrew Israelite camp that I studied under. But this particular camp group, they actually believe in the biblical Jesus. They believe, but see, the only difference is they don't want you saying Jesus. Okay, they don't want you saying Jesus because they feel like the word or the name Jesus is Hail Zeus. Like they feel like you're calling upon the Greek god called Zeus if you say Jesus. That's the only difference. But they believe in the biblical Christ. Okay, they do believe. But you got other groups that don't believe in the biblical Christ. They don't believe that Christ. They don't believe that Christ was the Son of God. I'll just put it like that. But GOCC, they believe that Christ was the Son of God. They do. But you got the other groups that actually they don't believe in Christ being the Son of God. That's the only difference.
Well, and to the point, because I know I'm a blood descendant of Israel, right? I did my DNA, but even outside of my DNA, it's been handed down in my family tradition, right? But making it clear that my family, we were told that we were Israelites as kids. My uncle, Pastor Carr, the late Carr, who pastored a church up in First Fruits up in Springfield, Massachusetts. He got a melanated Christ with locks in his hair.
Okay.
But they told us that we were Israel as children. And my uncle, James Wesley Carr, pastored a church down in Savannah, Georgia, First African Black Baptist Church, and they identified as Israelites. 1773 is when the church began. Actually, it went into being named First African Baptist Church. So this is the history that is not talked about.
Are you saying the church began in 1773?
Yes.
Okay.
Before the talking points that they would use about what's that guy? Jihad style. You can help me out too. I kept trying to think his name. Cherry, and some other guy. They refer to them as being the spearheads, the fathers of the grassroots movement, Hebrew Israelite grassroots movement.
Okay.
But before they were even in existence, right? A Baptist church, right? The men were referred to as fathers in Israel, or the women mothers in Israel. A troublemaker in Israel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they used that, but it wasn't just in the Baptist church, in the Methodist church, the AME church. I got proof that they used those terms as well. But the way that history is taught to us, we don't know these things. And down in Savannah, Georgia, they have Hebrew writings. They got Amharic writings, Inscription writings, which is a language of symbols. They got it all throughout the church. I encourage you to go there. So yes, that's the part that many don't want to talk about.
Okay.
So I
just to let you know, I studied under the Hebrew Israelite camp in 2017. I went back to Christianity. Okay. Just to let you know, I went back to Christianity.
Well,
okay.
I mean, that's your preference, and I'm not going to beat up on you, but for me, when I start looking at things from the proper perspective, Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, those are religions, right? If we understand the scriptures, they didn't teach a religion. They taught a culture that was given to them by the Most High. For me, I'm still a pastor, but in the church, I was a pastor in the church for over 6 years and transitioned our ministry out of Christianity. We follow the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, but we're free from the tenets of Catholicism that's still heavily influenced over Christianity. So for our assembly, we come together on the Shabbat. We honor the Shabbat. We honor the feast days. So, but again, we're not a camp. I want to make that clear. But for me, when I understand the history, when I see that Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, Hinduism, Islam, they all enslaved our people, and said it was justifiable with scripture. So for me as a pastor, I could not continue to lead our people that way. So I transitioned our assembly outside of it. Now, that's your choice. I'm not knocking you. I'm not going to, get on here trying to bash or anything like that. That's your choice. But I will say that being an Israelite is not a religion. It's an ethnicity. It's bloodline for us. It's not a religion, as they were trying to make it out to be. This identity extremist was the original term that they used.
Okay. All right.
But I appreciate you being on. I really do.
I'm gonna subscribe. Because I need to hear more. Sometimes I wonder about certain things like who are the people that are going to return to the Holy Land, because they keep saying there are people that were scattered all over the world. They said that the original Hebrews in the scriptures were scattered all over the world, and they keep saying these people are going to return at some point in the book of Joel.
Yeah, see, in the book of Joel, you also see it in Zechariah, you also see it in Zephaniah, but it's Israel, right, been scattered to the four corners of this earth. Right. And when we start looking at the transatlantic slave trade, if you go to Zephaniah chapter 3, it says beyond the waters of Ethiopia. Right. So, and we also see that in Hosea as well. Right. But beyond the rivers of Ethiopia is interchangeable. The original word Kush or Kawash, but that's now the Atlantic Ocean, but it was also called the Ethiopian Ocean. So when you start looking at those prophecies, we've been scattered to the four corners of this earth.
Yeah.
So when the Most High is gathering his people, like Christ said in Matthew 24, he said he's going to dispatch the angels and he's going to gather his people. Yeah. We've been scattered through, when you really look at the transatlantic slave trade, we've been scattered to the four corners of this earth. No other group of people have been scattered. You know what I mean? So I have a lot of information, some videos, but
I'm going to do some teachings on it, kind of some refreshers, and feel free to be part of the discussion.
Okay. All right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Appreciate it, sis. Jay High Style.
Welcome to you, sir.
Jay High Style, you got the floor, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Peace and blessing, Pastor, Sister Malaka, and also Sister Noble. Peace and blessings, family. Good to be with y'all once again on the live. I like to tell Sister Noble to keep searching for the truth. It is the truth that will set her free. And what better place to be than on Pastor Kelly's channel, because he's teaching nothing but the truth. So keep searching for the truth and it will surely set you free. This whole thing about Kyrie and Kanye and even Ron Dalton, I would just like to say that it's way deeper than them. Not to belittle them and what they're going through right now, but it's way deeper than them, family. We're talking about a spiritual warfare. And we got to recognize that we have enemies sitting in high places. The best scripture that comes to mind when I think of this is coming from Ephesians, the 6th chapter and the 12th verse. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Truly, family, this is what we're up against. This is why we're being silenced or continue to be silenced. The sister was talking about freedom of speech. We've never had freedom of speech simply because they don't want the truth to get out there. They want to keep us silent so that they can continue to rule the world and to continue to have supremacy over everyone. Again, it's not a battle with Kanye. It's not a battle with Kyrie. And again, not even with Ron Dalton. And I applaud all of them for stepping up and divulging the truth. But it's way deeper than that. And I like what when I was on Sister Shonda's channel earlier and we were praying. And right now, family, we definitely have to pray. We got to pray like we never prayed before, because the enemy is real and they're really looking to shut us down and to silence us. Also, I like what Yacoba was saying earlier about this attack isn't just on Kyrie, but it's on the whole Israelite community. It's on us as well, those that know the truth. And again, we can't fight this battle alone. We got to recognize that this battle isn't even ours. It's the Most High's. And when we recognize that, we will come out victorious. We are coming out victorious. It's prophecy. So I would encourage everyone to keep in mind that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness. And that's what I have to say, Pastor.
Absolutely. Don't go anywhere, Jay High Style. And just to your point, when he said we wrestle not with flesh and blood, what he's saying that we're not each other's enemies. Because sometimes, and even at that time, we'll see it even today, we fight against each other.
That's true.
More than what we fight against those that are coming against the community. You know, when you look at Shaq and you look at Charles Barkley and you look at some of the others, you know, things that you wouldn't even see in the 60s. You know, even though the Muslims were doing their thing as far as the Nation of Islam, but you had the church, Martin Luther King and all of them over in another area, you know, they were not, you know, of course they had their differences, but you would not see this type of stuff going on. You would not see this type of stuff. I mean, right now it's like, you know, it's like, man, you know, many are not even taking an opportunity to even, let me just read what the source of what they're reading, whether I agree with it or not.
if I hear about a movie, right, or if I come to you and say, hey, Jay Hassau, have you seen this movie right here? Hey, man, yeah, I saw that movie. Hey, if you tell me it's a bad movie, whether it's good or bad, I'm still going to do what? Confirm for myself.
Right.
You know, so now we're living in a time that now with the propaganda machine, people are not even reading, they're just echoing something that someone else has wrote, like with this writer for the Rolling Stones. The writer is very misleading and deceptive in his writing, in his article, and no one is calling him to the floor. Why? Because you know how it goes. Still taking on that mindset of being back in slavery that many of our ancestors had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So, but don't go anywhere, Jay Hassau. I'm gonna get a couple of people in real quick, and then I'll come back to you real quick. All right.
All right.
Aaron Israel, you still there?
Shalom, Pastor Kelly.
Shalom. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing all right, brother. And shalom to the panel. Pastor Kelly, you I'm also a member of the GOCC. I heard the sister talking a little earlier. And I've been a member since 2016, and I've learned a lot from them brothers, Elder Ricard, Gaja, and Elder Lawyer. But I also love listening to you, Minister Yacoba, Dante Fortson, because you guys be like really diving into that history part, which helps me in my study. So all praises to the Most High for you guys. The Kyrie and Kanye thing that's going on right now. I love the fact that they have brought the conversation to the forefront using their platform and how big of a celebrity they are. What I'm seeing though, because it's almost like a line being drawn in the sand now, I do see a lot of brothers and sisters that are agreeing and are standing with them. But I also see a lot of brothers and sisters that are finding every little, they're not addressing the part where they're claiming that we are the Israelites. They're talking about everything else but that. And I've been asking the question, I've been asking, some brothers the question, well, what about this part when he said? And they don't want to talk about it. So it's either one or two things. I'm looking at it and I'm like, either there's a lot of our people that don't believe in the Bible, so they're not going to talk about that part. Or, you have people that maybe do believe in the Bible, but they don't want to be, I don't want to be an Israelite. And I think you have a lot of that going on too. Because I'm sitting back and I'm watching because I'm not responding to anything on social media right now because I'm just watching, especially the people I know. I'm just watching how everybody's responding, and the people that I know and for social media and all that, they're not addressing this part that we're talking about. And I'm like, man, that is crazy.
And real quick, and I'll let you finish your point because I just want to touch on something real quick that you pointed out, because you said you were part of GOCC, and I think Sister Noble mentioned that as well. And now I know that I'm not part of a camp. Our ministry came out of a non-denomination. We transitioned, so we're not a camp or anything like that. Now, GOCC, do they deal with like that One West doctrine or?
No, they don't deal with the One West doctrine. I think that's why a lot of the One West camps don't like the GOCC.
Okay, yeah, because when you think of camp, you think of the One West doctrine, and then and I think part of it too
is, and I'm not saying all camps, but when you got camps, even if it's just a handful of them that's out on those corners, the first thing you see associated is cursing people out, being rude,
Yeah,
disrespectful. And I believe that's what's being ran with. The narrative is being ran with
exactly.
everyone, that said that come to the realization and prove that, hey, we're the people of the book. And I think
Yeah,
that's part of the stereotype that's being pushed, but in the
yep,
church, there's over 36,000 different denominations in the church, but
exactly.
you don't hear that as part of a discussion.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I just thought I asked that question because I'm not
Well, if
really,
you
I'm not
notice,
really familiar.
yeah, if you notice, Pastor Kelly, GOCC really don't get mentioned amongst like the conversation, and and a part of that is because you don't see them out on the corner cussing people out, so, and I think that's considered to other camps as being soft. They also, um, they do ascribe to teaching Gentiles, and I think that is also a part of why a lot of other Israelite groups don't, they see GOCC more as Christianized. But, GOCC believes in a hierarchy. They believe in, that, we are the people. And they believe in a lot of the same things. It's just, certain, just maybe two or three things that, and which is sad that, when it comes to teaching Gentiles, when it comes, I think the name also is a big thing also. But other than that, man, like GOCC is the Gathering of Christ Church is solid. They're solid in their doctrine,
Where is
so
Elder Ricard and Elder Lawyer? Where is, like, I guess, the headquarters of GOCC?
well, I know Elder Ricard is in Philly, and I think
Okay.
Elder Lawyer is in Atlanta.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and you got Ramar down in Texas,
Okay.
but yeah, getting back to the Kyrie thing, I think a lot of that's going on too, where you have a lot of our people that don't believe in the Bible, and they know that the claims that Kanye and Kyrie are making is kind of is putting us in the Bible. If you get what I'm saying, if you get what I'm
Yeah,
saying,
I understand. It's
yeah,
actually uh, forcing a discussion, and that's one of the
yes,
things that's happening in the church because of
hmm
this awakening. Because there's been other awakenings, but none like this. It's forcing discussions. It's not
yes,
asking these questions like, "Hey, wait a minute, I'm reading the scriptures here, and I see Christ never said that we don't have to honor the commandments.
yeah,
Christ honored the feast days. Matter of
yep,
fact, Christ, when he was talking in Matthew chapter 5, he went on and told his disciples their righteousness have to exceed the righteousness of the Pharisees. And he
hmm
began to teach them about certain commandments. Anyway, so you know what I mean?
yeah,
Those questions that cannot be answered that many
yeah.
pastors tap dance around,
Well,
So
and far as the younger generation, like I'm 39, so people around my age and younger, um, there's a lot of people that are not, they don't believe, and the reason, and I understand because they've probably found out too that, the church has not been being, they haven't been being honest. So when you start, seeing these outside sources and other things coming about, and you're questioning and you can't get answers, you tend to walk away. And I
yeah,
think a lot of the generation, a lot of younger generation is in that mode now. So now you have Kanye and Kyrie, people that they kind of look up to, coming out saying this, and some of them are like, nah, I ain't, I'm not with that. And so I'm thinking, so I kind of see that too when I'm kind of browsing on social media, And I'm just kind of like, man, I do see a lot of people that are agreeing with Kyrie and Kanye about us being the people, but I also see a lot of people that are not agreeing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, maybe that's the damage that have been done, uh, throughout time, with the church.
Yeah,
So
and two, you know, even when I was in the church, you know, I mean, many are deceived. Many just don't know. You know,
yeah,
you're being taught or teaching what you've been taught. You know what I mean?
hmm
So you're going to, it's kind of one of those things. If that's what saved you, took you out of a hard place, it's kind of hard to teach against it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So that's all a person knows. But I just believe that eventually, when you're truly seeking for truth, it'll be revealed by
it'll
studying the
be,
word. But hey,
yeah.
my brother, I really appreciate you jumping on.
Oh yeah,
We'll continue. We're going to have this discussion this Saturday night. Hopefully, my book will come in because I want to revisit this here. I got some additional things I want to cover on this article, and feel free to come on. Really
oh
appreciate
yeah. Also, before I get out of here, um, I went and did some research on because I always heard about the you know the 48ers providing the ships, but I also stumbled upon a lot of sources now uh, that are actually showing them here in America where they were large owners of slaves. So I've started doing some research on that, and I'm finding all kind of sources now. You
Yeah,
know,
I
so
mentioned a source earlier too, by
yeah.
Rabbi Raphael, that really
hmm
goes into the details. I don't have it up in front of me, but yeah, if you get a chance, go back in the earlier
Yeah.
recording or go to the video, the last live I did. I list all the sources there,
Okay.
and you could grab that source by Raphael, and he literally goes into the details about it.
Okay.
It's a great
Okay. We'll
source.
do. We'll do. Well, hey, I thank you for having me on, Pastor Kelly, and peace and blessings to the rest of the panel. You guys have a blessed night.
All right, appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate it. Um, let's see here. Akum Zizi, you still there? All right.
Hi, Pastor Kelly. Thank you for having me. I just want to say that I'm not from the United States. I live in Canada, but I come from Africa. And the thing I find funny is that a country like the US, where we know that we have that concept of free speech, how can this happen? The guy didn't go and say that he hate Jew or anything. He just posted a link, and I think that he have the right to do that. Why this demonization of character about something that he didn't say and he didn't behave that way? He just posted a link. And the thing I found funny also is why nobody is talking about Amazon, because the link was on Amazon. So Amazon is putting that movie on display, but I didn't heard a word about the fact that the movie was available on that platform.
And you hit it on the nail. And the key is agendas. Only one person mentioned Amazon, and I have a clip. I uploaded it earlier. Jay Williams from ESPN. They were having a discussion, and he asked a question. That's one of the things I said as well, and I believe Jay Highstyle said it as well. Is what about Amazon? See, Amazon is totally different. Most people don't understand. It's hard to get movies and documentaries on Amazon. They have a criteria. They have a set of things in place, a process that they go through to vet your videos and everything. It has to be a certain quality. All your stuff have to be cleared and so forth. So that is a good question. You know, how did it get up there? If it's saying that this movie is supposed to be so bad, anti, how did it get up there? And it's been up there since 2018.
Yeah. And my second point is it's too easy to dismiss something by saying it's anti-Semitic. When you say that, you kill the debate. you don't give any argument. You just say it's anti-Semitic and it's dismissed. That's not the way we think.
Yeah.
In this kind of society, if you disagree with someone of an idea, you need to bring you need to come and bring what you believe in, and people will listen. But just say it's anti-Semitic and we have to believe you. So okay, guys, don't look at the movie, don't fact check the movie. Just believe us, and it is anti-Semitic. And and for me, it's not far-fetched that we have black people that have from African descent. I'm not Christian. I'm Muslim, and I consider a Christian like my brother. But we all know that the 12 tribe of Israel at one point were in Egypt. Where is Egypt?
Exactly.
It's in Africa.
Exactly.
So why it's far-fetched to believe that okay, we have African descent that are Israelite? I don't understand that. And the thing is, most of the people, they don't know the history.
Yeah.
And it's bad. And the thing I don't and the thing I want to say, and I like this kind of emission because I find it on my feed. We really need to educate our people. Our people need to take education seriously. They need to educate themselves because knowledge will free us. We need to understand where we come from. We need to understand our history. And we need to be able to speak, to know how to speak and know how to write. The thing I like is the brother Irving, the way he speaks. You can say whatever you want behind his back because people that speak, they don't speak in front of him. They just speak in front of they have a platform, they speak, but nobody just respond to them. But when they ask him, when the journalists ask him, the way he speak, it makes sense, and they have nothing to say.
Yeah. Yeah, and just think about it. I mean, he's like, why do I have to apologize for a movie that I didn't make? Whether you agree with the movie or not, it's still, I can't be accountable if I decide to watch, let's just say, I'm just trying to think of some off the, let's just say Infinity Wars with Marvel. You know what I mean? If Marvel has something in that movie that's bad and I purchased the movie, does that mean that I'm endorsing Marvel's behaviors or whatever things that they may have had in that movie that may be bad or may not be good or whatever? Does it mean that I'm endorsing it? It's just unfortunate. Going back to the agenda, that's what it boils down to. It's an agenda to suppress and keep certain information at bay because when many of us, like for myself, I'm connected to ancient Israel, and you being from you're in Canada, but I know about the different tribes because you're from Africa as well, and like the different tribes that are there connects and been proven to be connected to the ancient Israelites. But that will really mess up a lot of agendas here because number one, reparations is a major discussion right now. So if it comes out that, hey, wait a minute, you mean to tell me most of the Negroes that was on those slave ships are connected to Israel? Oh, wait a minute. So that means we have to give them a compensation off of that because there are compensation monies that goes every year to the Jewish community as we know them.
No, I know, but the story, I don't want to speculate, but I just want to say something. People say Israelite in the United States. Most of the people that say they are Jew, most of them are European Jew.
Absolutely.
And we know that the Semit, the real Semit, they're not coming from Europe. Why nobody talking about that?
Absolutely. See, we talk about it here, but you know what? It's ignorance and also fear, because that propaganda machine is really nothing to play with, and many are fearful of saying something to disrupt that propaganda machine. Because I read an article about confirming what Kanye West said about Jews running Hollywood, and I have it's a Jewish author, not author, but journalist that wrote about it, and I shared the article a couple of lives ago, showing, and he's saying the same thing, that they run Hollywood. He gave names, everything, but again, that propaganda machine. It's to keep us in the dark, I guess, but to further push an agenda.
Can I say something that is a fact, but that is not political correct? But it's a fact, though. It's a fact. If you look at history, in Europe especially, all the country where the Jew have been, they have been expelled. It's a fact. I'm not making it up. You can just check it. If someone doesn't believe me, they can just double check it.
Yeah. Now, definitely understand that, because we start dealing with how they were exposed. The expulsion back in the 11th century with the burning of the Talmuds. They burnt 24 carts of the Talmud when the church found out what was inside the Talmud. Remember the whole discussion about bloodletting. It's a number of different things that you can point to, and that's why you'll see one of the oldest synagogues in Barbados. So yeah, I completely understand. And to your point, history, the way the generation is now, it's many are so not pressed to understand history. It seems like we go along with anything that's said.
And that's sad.
Anything else, my brother? Because
thank you.
I really appreciate you for jumping on.
Thank you.
And you say you're in Canada?
Yes.
What part of Canada, if you don't mind me asking?
In Ontario.
Ontario. Hey, if you available this weekend, I'll be live Saturday night, and we'll continue this discussion on Saturday. And if it's some things that you want to bring out or want to discuss in that discussion, feel free to bring it this Saturday night.
Oh, I will be happy to be there.
All right. I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. TD Milo or Milo, I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Yeah, you did, Pastor. Jenny, shalom to everybody. That's my brother from Africa. I'm greeting him too. I greet all my sisters, my mothers in the house here in America. I'm in the United States. So, yeah. Well, I just came to just ask some few questions, maybe tip in some few stuff. Have we noticed that whenever there's something that might spark this awakening, to speed up this awakening, there's a sudden death for one of our brothers or sisters that might want to change, to take the discussion somewhere. For example, all of us remember, was it last year or this year, with the issue that happened in Texas with this artist, I've forgotten his name. So
yeah, I know what you're talking about, from the Amigos or something like that. Amigos.
Yeah, the Migos. Yeah. I'm talking like previous, one of the Migos just died. I saw it. I see it like it was a means for us to change topic. People should not focus on these issues because it will reveal a lot of stuff. But the wave, what God has assigned with the Kanye West and Kyrie Irving issue, it was too powerful for people to, because I don't see so many people talking about takeoff. May his soul rest in peace. Because the spiritual momentum, that means the way God made it, it wasn't like any other situation where something is going on and they don't want people to focus too much on it, and they will take the life of a black person, so that everybody will change topic. I just wanted to call our notion to that if we keep on, and I want us to keep on hitting on this thing on social media, so that our people should wake up. But if we keep on, we are going to realize, or we are going to see another maybe sudden death from one of maybe entertainment or wheresoever, so that people can change topic. So and also I wanted to ask my Black Americans and Africans worldwide that if let's assume that Kanye West and Kyrie Irving were Republican. Do you think, for example, like Donald Trump is for free speech, for him to speak freely? Do you think if Black Americans were voting Republican, this is how they will shut them down? If Republicans were the one controlling the media or communication online, do you think this is how they will shut our two brothers down? I'm not sure. So the evidence are all there for us to see. I'm pleading not only for Black Americans, even Africans are in the same pot of soup. They are in the same issue. We must look what have been keeping us down. The evidence are all there. I know some of our people behave as if they are not seeing, to keep on going with this Democrat thing. The evidence.
Can I say something real quick, my brother? Let me say something real quick, and you can finish your thought. Even from the politics portion of it that you pointed out, for me, and I've been stressing this, we need to come out of the Democrats. We need to come out of the Republicans, because initially we were at the turn of going into the 20th century, our community were primarily Republicans, right? And it shifted when it got to like the 50s, and now primarily Democrats. I believe that we should completely come out of both of those systems and be registered as independents or non-affiliates, whether you choose to vote or not. At least register non-affiliate or independent. Why? Because then that gives you more voice. Because right now, the Black vote, they are the Democrats. They just believe that no matter what, 90% of our community is going to support them no matter what. And
you're right.
I believe that we had a perfect opportunity and we blew it just during the elections of the presidential elections, re-election for Trump and Biden. We didn't set a standard. If we would have all even if just say 2 million people within our community switched over and just said non-affiliate or independent, that would have caused a lot of stir, because they pay attention to numbers like that. Then they will want to hear what we have to say. But right now we're not unified, like you pointed out. We're doing a number of different things, and for me, the Democrats and the Republicans, two wings on the same bird. That's just my thoughts with that.
You're right. You're perfectly correct. For example, look at what happened in Los Angeles.
Hold on one second, my brother. Jay Highstyle. Go ahead, Jay Highstyle, real quick.
Yeah, I would just like to interject on that part about voting too, because one thing that I see happening is, you're right, we should be voting independent. And who was on that ticket? I believe it was Kanye. Not to say that he was the best choice, but he was on that ticket. And I even feel it's to the point now where he might be causing the stir up for his own agenda, and that's to get back on that ticket again so that people can vote for him. This hat he's wearing, I believe it says 2024 or something like that. I think he's subliminally sending a message that he is going to run again for president. Just wanted to say that.
Oh, okay. I got you. Well, I'm like, hey, whether you vote or not, register independent or non-affiliates.
You're
it
right,
makes
Pastor.
a world of a difference. It'll move the needle.
You're perfectly right. That's what we want for our people right now. We must stop voting these Democrats. They have done more harm to us than good. More harm to us than good. I've been in this country for just 7 years. But I'm somebody, like I said, Africa is the same thing. We are being chained up by these same people controlling our brothers here in this manner. They are doing the same thing in Africa, everywhere they are. So we must look, the evidence are in front of us. We should not be acting as if we are blind. Look at our communities. Look at, they don't even give us business loan. They want to give us students loan, to hook up us on student loan. And most of our people go to when they go to these schools, they don't take good sectors in the education that pays more, and they hook up and finally even getting old without even finishing paying that money. So we must realize all these things. Please, it's time we get out from this plantation. And we are hoping our Black American brothers, fathers and mothers will help to bring us out from this system. Look at what happened in California on the Hispanic, what they said in California. They did everything. Look at all the TV channels, especially those run by Democrats. They avoid making it a Democrat thing for that racism they did in California. They avoid making it a Democrat thing, that a Democrat did that. They said those things to Black people. If it was Republican, they'll carry it from morning to night, singing Republican from morning to night. But I'm not saying don't vote, either independent, as our pastor have said. We want change. We want something. We want change. We must take away the power from these guys in California. We must take away that power. Thank you very much, Pastor. Thank you for giving me the floor.
Hey, I appreciate you being on, and we'll be back this Saturday night, and
Okay,
feel free to jump on. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Pastor, can I just jump in real quick and say something real fast? That's okay.
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead. You got the floor.
Okay, so what just came to mind when I was hearing about the political parties and, what came to me. Remember when Yasharal, we wanted a king so bad and we rejected the prophet. So what did Yahuwah do? He gave us Saul, right? So just my personal opinion is because we are waiting on our Hamashiach to come back with that double-edged sword coming out of his mouth. I personally don't think that we should place our trust and our hope in any human being in the political system. And to go and just piggyback on what Brother Jay Highstyle said, I heard it all in his last, I caught alive on the Kanye West channel. And everything that he was saying, I'm just like, this dude is trying to run. He's trying to get, because he knows who's against him. He
Yeah,
knows who's for him. He even had
right.
the whole Bitcoin thing running. If you scan this code, you're going to get amount of Bitcoin. He has an agenda, but at the same time, and I'm going to stop here, even Rob Shaul said, some preach the gospel, or let me not say gospel. Some preach the basora, or they preach the good news for their own vain glory, and some preach it for our destruction. But bottom line is, it's being preached. The conversation has started, but family, just eyes wide open. Yahusha is our master. We shouldn't be voting for none of them. That's what I
Well,
wanted to say.
and that's what my point is from a perspective of Kanye and all that. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate the narrative being pushed, but I'm not falling on the sword because he could change up at any time. But when it comes to voting, for me is I just believe that our local government, because that's where the influence is.
Right,
If
Pastor.
your child
Right.
is in a government school, then we should at least know what's going on in our local government. Presidential, when you get into that level, I can understand no one, people not wanting to vote. But when you're on your local level, you get to, that's where the most influence happens. I've gone to city council meetings, and one of the saddest things is the lack of participation in our community, because we'll hear like, okay, they're going to build a park here. They're going to put a park over here. Hey, I wonder whatever happened to that park. Well, hey, if you was at city council meeting, you'd have heard that they reallocated the money to the other side of town. So I definitely understand your concerns and others' concerns about the voting. For me, I believe that the local votes, the local, voting is more important, because that's something that immediately affects you versus trying to vote on the presidential level. That's just my thoughts. But hey, we can agree to
Right.
disagree.
That much I do understand. I do understand that part, Pastor, because you even got to think about it. Within our communities, we had chiefs and things of that nature, right? There was a hierarchy even within the tribes. So for me, that speaks onto the local level. But when it comes to, the whole voting for presidents and this and that, that's when it gets a little like we trying to put a king in front of us when our king should be Yahusha.
Yeah, definitely understand. Definitely understand. Well, I tell you, this has been a great discussion, and we're going to continue it on this Saturday. Tonight, I just wanted to kind of go through it a little bit, but I just really didn't, go into the details like I would normally do. I didn't go geek mode. Did I go geek mode tonight, Jay Heist? I didn't go geek mode, did I?
You did, Pastor. Come on now.
You went in.
You did.
Went in. That's why I jumped in.
But that's okay. That's okay. We love it when you go geek mode.
Well, we're going to continue this conversation on Saturday night, and if you guys are available, feel free to come on. And any final words that you guys want to share? I start with Malaka. Do you have any final words? Anyone or anything or any system you want to give the garbage can to?
I just want to say this: we woke now.
That's right. Ain't never going back, right?
The garbage can. I'm gonna be honest with you. Nah, not really. Nah, I feel like everybody had some valid points and bringing out things that they wanted to bring out. And I'm becoming very pleased with Yasharal and how we banding together right now.
Okay, I got you. I'm gonna let you off the hook this go round, but you got to have somebody in the garbage can next time.
Yes, sir.
All right, Jay High Style. Anyone or anything or any groups you want to put inside the garbage can?
I would like to first say, Sister Malaka, you're definitely right. We are woke now, and we're getting a lot more notoriety than ever before. But at the same time, we got to remain humble. We got to continue to rely on the Most High only. Amen. And so we definitely have to remain humble, because he says that if you remain humble, he'll exhort you. So look for that exhortation coming, family. Continue to remain humble.
Hallelujah.
As far as the garbage can, I keep hearing about Charles Barkley and how he was the main one that put it out there to suspend Kyrie. So he definitely deserves the garbage can. He hasn't gotten the clue yet that we as a people have to come together and stop siding with these the power that be.
Absolutely. So
yes, I agree.
We'll give Chuck the garbage can here. I agree with you. Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Stoudemire, who else? Man, the whole Malika Andrews panel. I could go right down the list. So, but yeah, I definitely want to.
Don't forget about your boy Stephen A. Smith either.
yeah, Hopping Bob, got to put him up in there, and also I want to put in the garbage can the writer of that article, because it's very misleading, and from the Rolling Stones, he just did a very it was very misleading and deceptive the way he put that article together, and he did not properly quote Ronald Dalton's book from what I see and what I've unpacked thus far. So I just want to put them all in the garbage can. Everyone that's just lying to our people, the Hoppin' Bobs and Hoppin' Bobettes, they get the garbage can.
Right, throw more in the garbage can.
And I'm going to add a 3-piece. And I'm going to give them their order to go. So really appreciate it, guys. And we're going to get ready to wrap up, and appreciate you guys for the garbage can. Final words. I'm going to give you guys one last opportunity. Final words.
United we stand, divided we fall. We understand that our dollar means something. And if we hold it back and hit their pockets, they going to understand we ain't playing.
Absolutely. J High Style.
Yeah, and I believe our enemies are practicing that old adage: if you can't beat them, join them. I realized that you had a person, Christopher the First, commenting on how they've taken over our culture and everything, and that's only because they're looking to further hide our identity. So we got to recognize, family, that we're against a formidable foe, but we have a much higher being, and that is the Most High. He's going to see us through this. So keep your head up and keep faith in the Most High.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the final thought for me is Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14. When Israel was faced, they had a dead end in front of them with the water, and from behind, excuse me, I had to clear my throat. And from behind, they had the Pharaoh and his army trying to catch up with them to kill many of them and take them back, return them back into, bring them back into captivity. But Moses was given these words to tell the people by the Most High. He said, "Fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of Yahweh." These Egyptians that you see here today, you will never have to deal with them again. They will not have power over you ever again. This spirit realm, these demonic forces that we see today, the things that we're subjected to right now, family, will not have power over us ever again. The Most High will fight for us. But here's the kicker. We have to hold our peace. The Hebrew word, the ancient Hebrew word there is charash, Israeli charesh, but it means to be quiet. Can't go back, can't stay here, keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of